Gabe, what time did you get out of work tonight?
I feel like 8:20, 8:30. Probably got back to my place around like 9 and then had to cook dinner.
That ain't too bad for Monday.
Compared to like last week, I feel like I didn't get back last week to record for fucking ever. I got back and like made a sandwich and then we got on here.
We
I
didn't
actually got
start.
time to actually cook.
We didn't start recording last week till like 10:30 or something like that. It was late.
Yeah, I was there late.
Yeah, I should be good to get going whenever you guys are.
I'm good too.
Okay. I think I'll start with the Knicks and go from there. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of 3 Point Weekly. We have a few things to discuss today across a league that is filled with some very fun runs and winning streaks over the last couple of weeks. With the Buck streak just ending, we have a new king in town of win streaks in the Eastern Conference joining us with the New York Knicks. We'll also discuss some of the recent play with KD and the Phoenix Suns, who we may or may not have making the play-in tournament, as well as some fun trade deadline trivia to end things off. But we're going to start in New York, who are currently on a 9-game winning streak, having won their last 9 games against some relatively good opponents, with Jalen Brunson missing their most recent one, with Emmanuel Quickley having the signature game that is putting him in a bunch of redrafts. But we have a lot to discuss with this Knicks team as to how good they actually could be in this Eastern Conference. We just called them not contenders last week, and I don't think any of us will have changed on that, but we'll start with you, Gabe. How good do you think this Knicks team actually is? Is it just a feel-good story on a good run, or could they actually be in a bit more of a conversation with the Cavs and the 76ers as we head into this postseason?
So I'm going to save you too much talking, and I'm going to give you the short answer, and I'm going to say no. I don't think they're on that level. I still think if you go to the postseason, I wouldn't take this team probably to win any playoff series against the top 4. Could they maybe sneak one out against the Cavs? Yeah, they could. But then at that point, I do think they get kind of eaten alive at second round. So, like, all things considered, I'm not going to call them a contender. However, this is a really good sign for their kind of direction moving forward, because 2 years ago, they were really good and then kind of flamed out in the playoffs. Things didn't go to plan against the Hawks. Came back the next year, they really disappointed. They were not the team they were the year before. So they kind of bounced back, acquired Jalen Brunson, a couple other pieces, and just see a lot of that success start to come back to them. Really good for them. Really good for them. So I'm happy with where they're at. I think they're doing some good things, but I do think they're like a piece or two away from actually contending.
Yeah, I would probably be on like that same kind of feeling about them right now. I mean, it's great to see that it's all coming together, because early on in the season, you can kind of tell, like, it seemed like Randall and Brunson were trying not to step on each other's toes too much. But now they kind of have this synergy where it's like we can both get ours and still be successful and still win games. And even like when Brunson was out the other night against Boston, quickly was able to step up because he has experience and, you know, he's capable of having good scoring nights. I mean, a 38-point game is not something that we expect from him every night, but when given the opportunity, he can do so. They made those moves in the offseason and getting Josh Hart in at the deadline to just kind of buy in and like keep this going, so it's not like a feel-good story like it was a couple years ago. I think this Knicks team is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I was just talking to somebody at work earlier. I was like, I wouldn't want to play the Knicks in the first round as a Celtics fan, because that would be a kind of a dogfight of a series. And I think a lot of teams will probably feel that way because of just how good Jalen Brunson is, and we've seen him produce in the playoffs. And Julius Randle having somebody next to him that can really produce is something that we didn't get to see a couple years ago. That's going to be very good because they was looking to RJ Barrett to be that second guy, but now it's Brunson and Randle doing it. So I don't think that this is moving them up the contenders list, but they're a team that I think is probably most dangerous outside of those top, 4 teams we kind of talked about last week.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely cementing themselves as the best of the rest beyond those top 4 teams in the East. I would agree. I don't think they're quite on that tier yet. Maybe moves in the offseason give them that, but as you alluded to, Tyrik, Brunson and Randle have just been playing so well together. They've both been playing the best basketball of their career, in my opinion, most certainly for Brunson, and I'd say even still so for Randle. And when you get Quickley playing as good a ball as he's been playing over the last few weeks. Is he's had some moments throughout the first couple of years of his career, but if he can continue to play consistently like this, you still get some contributions from Josh Hart's and Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett, and it's a good team. They're definitely not at that contender level yet, but it's a very good team. It's a very fun team and a very fun offense to watch, and full credit to them for a team that was a borderline play-in team, for a team that was predicted to not be in the play-in by a third of this podcast. They've done a very good job this season, and this latest 9-game stretch has been very indicative of that. We'll switch over to the Phoenix Suns briefly. Obviously, Kevin Durant has been back for a few games now. They're on a 3-game winning stretch throughout those 3 games, some of which not against great opponents, notably the first game being against Charlotte without LaMelo Ball. But any immediate takeaways you have, Tyrik, from what you've seen of the first few games with KD and Devin Booker playing alongside each other in Phoenix?
First, Kevin Durant is like not a human being when it comes to his ability to come off of not playing basketball for over a month and just look like he hasn't missed a beat. Like he just came out, even on a minutes restriction, was doing his thing. And, I just like how he's just fit in, it seems, right away. I know they haven't played the greatest of competitions, but you still got to win those games. Like there's a possibility that they come out and look kind of flat like Dallas did, even against not so great competition. But they came out and they looked like a little bit of what we expected, like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant being those go-to guys. And I've been impressed with guys like Josh Okogie. I didn't think he would really had a spot on this team, but he's been, starting at the wing for them. And he's been playing well, aside from the other day. I think he was like 0 of 8 from 3, but he's been playing really well for them. And Chris Paul, he's just doing his thing. But like we mentioned last week, he's in point guard heaven because he has 2 of the best wing scorers. And Book, he's also coming off his injury too, and he's really starting to get back to what we saw early on in the season. So I'm just excited to see this team moving forward, just see what the ceiling is for them, because I feel like we haven't really got a full taste of what they're capable of.
Yeah, in a real small sample size, especially Devin Booker has been incredible. I think this duo so far has the early makings to be the best duo in the league by a pretty significant margin. And just the fact that having Kevin Durant's presence on the court allows Devin Booker to go out and score 37, 36 with relative ease, it's just like, that's scary. And that's stuff we really haven't seen since, like, honestly, Kevin Durant and Curry. Like, there was definitely games where, like, James Harden or Kyrie would pop off, but it just feels like so far. I mean, I think most of us right now have Devin Booker is the best shooting guard in the league anyways. But then when you have a player at Kevin Durant's caliber put next to him, it's gelling so nicely. And I don't think any of us really expected it to be that difficult to gel, just from the perspective of, like, yeah, it's Kevin Durant. His skill set kind of fits anywhere. But just, damn, like, I know last week I made the pick in our little friendly wager of the Suns winning it all. But, like, if these two can continue to play like this and get some solid contributions around them, which so far has been going pretty well, they're scary. And given some other things that have happened around the league, only strengthens the fact that I think they're going to go to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there wasn't really expectations that there was going to be a struggle for them to gel, but the fact that they just looked that comfortable and are both performing that well, from returning from an injury in KD's standpoint, from them playing together for the first time as a duo, as a team, they just look so comfortable out there. They've both shot 50% or greater in both or all 3 of these games. They just look like they're going to be a duo alongside with the pieces that they have that's going to be able to have a lot of success. And like you mentioned, Tyrik, Josh Okogie's been playing very good ball for them. 3-point shooting can be inconsistent, but great defense, great hustle guy. He's the type of guy you want in the wing in the playoffs. Same thing with Torrey Craig. Wainwright's been giving them some very good minutes. He hit some timely threes the other night against the Mavs. They have enough pieces like that alongside a KD and a Devin Booker, like you say, Gabe, they're going to be very tough to beat come playoff time. I think it's going to be really tough for anyone in the Western Conference to have an easy hold of them come any 7-game series.
My only real question marks, I would say, I know it's very early and they just kind of had a pretty decent roster overhaul. Like they traded away some guys that have been there, have played valuable NBA Finals minutes for them and real deal playoff minutes. So my question is because I realized a trend yesterday, their rotation was kind of short. Guys were getting minutes, but it wasn't a lot of minutes off of that bench. I'm wondering who are going to be the guys that separate themselves. I I expect like Campaign to be one of those guys coming off the bench because he's had a pretty resurgent season other than injuries. But, is Terrence Ross going to be the guy? Is TJ Warren going to get consistent playoff minutes? Maybe it's Ish Wainwright off the bench. Like, who are going to be those guys off that bench that we see consistently in that rotation once it comes to the playoffs? And I want to see DA, like, find his way as being now the true third option. Because with Chris Paul, we wanted him to be number 2. But now it's like, just do your thing. Like, just rebound the hell out of the basketball. Be efficient at the paint. And protect the paint like how we saw him do in a couple postseasons ago. Like, I want to see him just get back to that kind of role because I feel like that's probably his best version of himself on a championship type team. I just want to see more of it because yesterday he seemed like a non-factor. So I just want to see him be a little better at his role.
Yeah, I think on the DeAndre Ayton front, he's shown, and I think he showed in their finals run, that when he wants to, he can be a problem. And maybe having players of this caliber around him, he might be like, oh, yeah, I don't have to go get Miles, so maybe I won't. But I don't know, man. In that last finals run they had, he really had his moments where he showed out. And I think given this point where they're probably the favorite now, I think he'll go to the postseason and he'll once again elevate his game. Right now, he's probably just chilling, and that's kind of the guy he's been because, I mean, if they're winning while he's doing it, so be it. And then on the bench front, like, yeah, you could say it might be more names compared to how high some guys' values might be right now. But overall, there's a lot of guys on this roster who, like, I'm not mad giving them minutes as long as they're playing well. Like, we've seen Terrence Ross and TJ Warren be big-time scorers in big-time situations. Now, will they become this playoff series? I don't know. But if one of them is and the other isn't, that's the guy you can have in. So it's just guys in your roster that might be able to contribute. And luckily for them, they do have about a month and a half or so to really figure that out. But I do think it will get important to figure that out sooner than later. Because if you get to like early April and it's just like, hey, we don't know who we're running off the bench, that's where you can really start to see some problems.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that they can go 12 deep right now is pretty neat. But like you say, they do need to figure that out a little bit sooner rather than later. The one thing that gives me a little bit less of a concern with that situation for this team compared to the Clippers when we talked about them in this situation a week ago is that at least the guys they're kind of deciding between, when they're on the court, they know their role and they know they're going to be role players. They know they're going to be complimentary guys. They're not going to be guys that are going out and looking to score 20 a night. They might get it, like a TJ Warren if he gets hot, like a Terrence Ross if he gets hot, but neither of those guys are going to be entering the court saying, my job is to get 15 to 20 points tonight. That concern's not there. So that's the one positive thing I have about how much depth they have on this team. And even though they're giving some guys extra minutes, they probably know they're not playing Damian Lee in a playoff rotation. They probably know that depending on the matchup, Jock Landale isn't going to get many, if any, minutes in a playoff rotation. So I think they have a little bit more of an idea of what they're going to be doing. But they still have to give some run to Terrence Ross to see what he ends up being come playoff time for their rotation, given they just added him. They're still got to figure out some other parts of their wing rotation with Wainwright, Craig, and Okogie and how they want to balance those minutes. But at least those guys know their roles. So I think they're in a pretty good spot still from that standpoint. Yeah,
they got a good problem to have. And what's kind of underrated about the Durant trade is like now they have a little bit like of lineup flexibility where you don't always have to have a true big on the court. So I feel like they've been a team that always has a true center on the court. But now, like with KD, you could probably run KD and maybe Ish Wainwright out there. And that's not like a big front line, but those are guys that can guard still. So they got some good problems to have. I would just really want to see just those couple of things, like who really establishes themselves as being the main guys off the bench once we get to the playoffs. And just like DA, like how Gabe said, how he played in their finals run, just really dominate the boards, be really good defensively, and get timely buckets. I feel like that's a role that he can fulfill. I just want to see it happen again.
Definitely. I think that roster or that lineup flexibility is going to be very nice for them, especially depending on the matchup. They can put KD at the 5. They're going to have a ton of space and a ton of shooting. It's going to do really well for them. Briefly, before we discuss some of our play-in tournament predictions, I want to give our other weekly update as we kind of phase out of the buyout market of the season. Chris Dunn is a guy that I wanted to give a shout out to. He's been a part of a couple of 10-day contracts now, but he's been playing really good basketball with the Utah Jazz over the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to give him his quick shout out. Goran Dragic is now a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, even though he was just a member we were talking about of the Mount Rushmore of guys who probably shouldn't be getting NBA minutes anymore. He is still going to be getting NBA minutes with the Milwaukee Bucks. Hopefully it's not finals minutes and he doesn't become the George Hill of point guards getting finals minutes for the Bucks. But nonetheless, he is there. Jeff Teague is, yeah. Hopefully that's not the case. Yeah.
Give Javon Carter those minutes, man. Give Javon Carter those minutes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just give him those minutes.
Definitely should be going to Javon Carter. Because of Goran Dragic going to the Bucks, Sandro Mamukelashvili was waived. He is now a member of the Spurs. He is the newest big man down in time. I've worked on that one. Jared Butler is now in OKC, and as Tyrik had to remind us what college he went to midweek, we were sure to make sure we didn't miss that one. Will Barton has headed to the Raptors as the Raptors finally get some amount of three-point shooting. Dwayne Washington is on to his third NBA team in his second year already as he signed a 2-year deal with the Knicks. And Nerlens Noel goes to the Brooklyn Nets to give them a little bit more depth at center as they try to push in for the play-in tournament. Two big names for the vets and Dragic and Will Barton. It's kind of starting to round out the end of the buy-in or buyout market, but
yeah,
Goran Dragic to the Bucks. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just hope that he's there for a bit of depth in case of injury. But if he gets regular minutes, I don't know.
Knowing Bud, I feel like he's going to end up getting playoff minutes again, which he shouldn't have been getting them last year. But he ended up getting playoff minutes for the Nets, and it's probably going to happen again. That's just how Bud is, man. Like, I don't see what Javon Carter has done to not really solidify himself as being that backup point guard, unless you just get somebody that is clearly better than him, and there's nobody on the market that they could have got, and there's nobody on that team that is clearly better than Javon Carter as a backup point guard. So hopefully, like you said, Devin, it's just for depth, and we don't have to watch George Hill get playoff minutes unless somebody goes down with injury or foul trouble or something.
Yeah, I do think it's more of an insurance policy type, like, oh, one of our guards gets injured and he can play some spot minutes because, he's a player with some skill, probably should be phased out of the league soon. But, I can't hate the pickup. I think for what it is, like, as long as he is not the new Jeff Teague, George Hill type, it's fine. I mean, it's a buyout pick, and like, how often is a buyout player going to be like a major factor on a team? So I would highly doubt that that's like a guy that they're bringing in to say, hey, you're a part of our 8-man rotation, especially given he hasn't done much to make you think that he would be throughout the rest of the season.
But Jeff Teague was a buyout player for them because he was on the Celtics that season. He was bad for us, and he was just as bad for them. So, like you said, hopefully it's just insurance, and we do not have to see any Dragic playoff minutes.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope, especially because Javon Carter's been silently very good as a three-point shooter this year. Like, there's no reason to not play him.
He's good back to shooting how he was,
and good defender. No reason to be playing Dragic over him.
He had a couple cold years, but he's back to shooting like how he was. I think his second year in the league, where he was, 40%. So, like, he's kind of back to that form. But I'm glad you gave Chris Dunn a shout out because he has been playing really good. He just looks like a different basketball player, which is like, he's been phased out the league, it seems like, for a while. It probably hasn't been that long, but it's just good to see him back on the NBA court because that was a lottery pick, not even a decade ago, I think. So good to see him back, and he's playing some quality basketball in Utah.
Yeah, looking at this, like, this week's signings, it makes me kind of sad because, especially looking at like Will Barton, Nerlens Noel, players like that, they could probably contribute like something. And it's like the teams they went to are not contenders. And it's like, the contenders are the contenders. They probably should have their lineups pretty set. But I don't know, man. I think Will Barton could have went and been a bench scorer on like somebody who might be playing in May at least, where it's like, pretty much all this week's signings is like, yeah, these teams would be lucky to get out the first round, besides Goran Dragic, who we don't think is going to be playing.
Doesn't count. It's It's kind of weird. Like Will Barton was, I think, the Nuggets' second leading scorer last year,
Yeah.
and now he's like a
Yeah.
buyout player, just going to a team in Toronto who's like a playing team. Like that's just kind of, it's kind of funny how like how quick role players can kind of like fall off a cliff faster than like those star kind of guys. It's just weird to see, man. Because Will Barton was playing really good last season, and couldn't even get minutes in Washington. And everybody knows how we feel about the Wizards, and Will Barton couldn't get minutes there. So it's like, yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird, but maybe. How did you guys feel about the Will Barton signing though? Did you think much of it? Like, was it just cool to get some wing depth? Like, how were y'all feeling?
Yeah, nice to get a little bit more shooting, a little bit more spacing. Like, he's probably not going to get a ton of minutes for us. He might only get 10-ish a night, but anything to get a little bit more shooting on this team, I can't really complain too much about. So, it's a solid pickup.
I mean, yeah, Washington is just such a weird situation. I just can't foresee a guy, especially a guy with shooting ability like that, going from almost a 15-point per game scorer to this guy shouldn't be playing in the NBA. Because, I mean, say what you want about Jokic's supporting cast last year. He still averaged 15 points on decent efficiency. And that team was a playoff team. Like, they still were, like, not bad. So, I mean, from that perspective, like, I think he has something he can offer to a lot of teams around the association. I'd like to hope that it was just kind of like a bad stop where he didn't really fit in. In Toronto, Toronto's roster is getting some solid depth, man, because they had all their pieces and it was kind of just like a gazillion wings. But now it's like, Will Barton's kind of a wing, but he can still play like guard minutes. At the same time, bringing in Poto, he's been so good. So it's like this team is kind of starting to get themselves a squad. Now, is that squad going to compete with like the Celtics or the Bucks? No, they're not. But like, could they compete against everybody up to like 6? Yeah, I think they could, and I think they could do so pretty well. Like looking at, I guess I won't spoil too much because I mean, as of now, like I can't even say my decision's cemented. But looking at the play-in structure, like they've really set themselves up to maybe make that playoff push and keep their hopes alive.
Definitely, I think given like the fact that the front office decided not to like make any major changes at the deadline, a pretty solid job of bringing in just guys that can be quality. I think Jakob's a little more than quality, but that's basically just guys that can contribute and can kind of fit in right away. Like Jakob's been really good for y'all, from what I've seen so far. So not a bad job. Will it make much of a difference, like playoff picture wise? I don't know. We'll find out. But I think if I don't know, like it just depends, I guess, on what the offseason looks like too for y'all. I feel like we've had these conversations a lot, but that's just gonna be an interesting thing, like what does happen in the offseason for the Raptors.
Definitely. I think similarly to the trade deadline, there'll be a lot of rumors about the Raptors, but at least a little bit more likely than the trade deadline. There's at least a little bit more probability that one of those big moves might get made because the jury's just a lot more open to those types of moves in the offseason than he is in season. So not to say that something will happen, but if an OG is going to get traded, that's probably more likely to happen in the offseason. And not to mention the fact that Freddie and Gary Trent and Jakob Poeltl all have to get new deals. Poeltl is probably the only guy of which he's a sure lock to be re-signed. So it's definitely going to be an offseason with a lot of decisions and a lot of implications on the next few years for Toronto.
Definitely. How do y'all feel about Gary being moved to the bench? I just kind of realized he was like the other day, but how did y'all feel?
Had to be somebody.
Had to be somebody.
Yeah, I think for the time being, it makes sense. I don't think if he's back on this team next year, which as of right now, I think he probably is, although I'm not confident in that. I would imagine it's probably in a starting role, and I would imagine someone's probably moved. Whether that's Freddie just not re-signed, whether that's OG, that remains to be seen. But I would imagine if he's back next year, it's in a starting role. But for the time being, it made sense to have a little bit more scoring punch off the bench. And you obviously weren't going to put Freddie on the bench. And then if you're debating between OG or Gary, I'd rather have Gary. He's a better shot creator, can get his own bucket a bit more. OG's defense can slide in with the first unit. He is better offensively playing off of others, even though he likes to create for himself, but that's been a bit of a problem as of late. So I'd like OG off the bench if you have to pick someone there. And then come the end of game, sometimes Gary is running with the starter, sometimes it's not. Like the other night, Scotty was having a rough night. Scotty wasn't closing and Gary was closing instead. So there's a little bit of flexibility there, but I think Gary just being able to have those bench minutes makes the most sense as far as having a little bit more shot creation with the bench unit.
I would pretty much agree with most of that. It's just when you have Fred, who's the point guard, he's pretty much got to have a starting spot. I think Poeltl, your starting center, you traded for him because you didn't have that big presence down low. Then Pascal's the best player on the team. So, I mean, that's 2 spots, 3 guys. Scotty's your piece of the future. So he should obviously be in the starting lineup as well. And then you got 1 spot left, and just kind of echoing exactly what Devin said, like, I think Gary's a guy who is a little bit better out there running with the bench unit, kind of shot creating than a guy like OG would be leading the second unit. I think OG may be a better player, but I think his skill set is a little bit more tailor-made to play when the other most talented ball-dominant guys are also on the court.
I agree. Well, they are in the play-in picture, so should we transition to how we feel like the play-in in each conference is going to shape up?
Let's do it.
About to be bold take city, man. The thing about this is the thing is like, in a 7-game series, usually the better team wins because you got 7 chances. You got to beat them 4 times. You don't just got to win once. But in the play-in, somebody could really lose and go home.
1-game situation. That's what makes it so March Madness type. Is like, because I remember last year when the Hawks were in the play-in, I was like, I think Trae Young's going to get him in because Trae Young can win 1 game and he can win 1 more game. And that's exactly what happened. He won 2 games pretty much by himself. Well, especially that second game, that was all Trae Young against the Cavs. Like, he really willed that team to a win. So that's just what makes it so compelling. And I feel like we got a lot more bigger names that could potentially be in the play-in this season. So it's going to be so entertaining just as a fan to see those guys in 1-game situations.
Definitely. I mean, season ended today. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are in the play-in. Kawhi and Paul George are in the play-in. Assuming return from health, Brandon Ingram, CJ, and Zion are all in the play-in. Not to mention Lauri Markkanen with Utah. You have Siakam, you have Trae Young, you have Jimmy and Bam, you have Kristaps and Bradley Beal in Washington. I mean, that's a lot of really good players to all be in a play-in tournament.
A lot of all-star caliber guys, man. And not to mention, like, Dame's right there. Potentially LeBron and Anthony Davis are right there. So it's like a lot of names, bro. Like, we could see, like, potentially the best version of the play-in that we've seen so far.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting, especially out west because teams are so tight. But we'll start with the East and save that fun discussion for later. I'll let you start, Gabe. Who would be your 4 teams you predict to have in the play-in tournament by the end of the season?
So I will start from the bottom up. I think the Wizards will keep the 10 spot. I do think that they will be able to keep that over Chicago. The Bulls have just been not great, not promising. Pacers kind of just put themselves in too much of a hole. As much as I do hate to say it because we are notorious Wizards haters here on 3 Point Weekly, I do think they will be in. However, I do think that they will lose that first game to either the Hawks or the Raptors, whoever that ends up being. So just for the sake of it, I think I'll say that 9 ends up being Atlanta because the Raptors, we were just talking about them reinforcing the roster a little bit. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll say, hey, maybe the Quinn Snyder era takes a little bit to come around and the Raptors make a little push and pass them up. So I'll say in the first game, the Hawks beat the Wizards in the 9-10 matchup. Then we get to the 7-8 matchup, and here's where I think it'll be Toronto versus Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn will fall to 7. I think Miami has the capability to pass them. It's just I know Brooklyn's got some solid players, but I just can't trust them to kind of win enough games. I don't know. Like, I've seen Mikal Bridges play really well over the past couple weeks, If we were doing a shout out players of the week, he would definitely be up there. But it's just not enough to where I can confidently say I'm taking them over Jimmy Butler when Jimmy Butler realizes, hey, like we got to win right now. In that situation, I do think the Raptors would beat Brooklyn. And then I think Brooklyn misses out on the postseason. I do think Atlanta would come around and beat Brooklyn. So giving that, I do think the way it would shake out is that my final 7 seed would be Toronto and my final 8 seed would be Atlanta, with the Wizards and the Nets just missing out.
Good picks, man. Good picks. I'm gonna go with the Bulls getting the 10 seed. Why do I feel that way? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not, but I could see them going on a little run. I mean, the gap is not too big. I think they're a game and a half back, and I think they're capable. They got DeMar, they got Zach LaVine. Those guys can just play with that sense of urgency if they really do want to play postseason basketball. I can see them getting in over the Wizards. The Wizards have been playing really good basketball for their standards of like the last month and a half. I think the Bulls can make a run, get that 10 seed. I have Toronto staying at the 9. And kind of for the reason, like Gabe said, he thought like Miami is going to jump Brooklyn. I think the Hawks will probably play with that sense of urgency to stay ahead of Toronto. So I will have Toronto staying at the 9 seed. If we're predicting who's going to win that game, I would most definitely pick the Raptors to beat the Bulls. And next we got my 8 seed. I'm going to stick with Atlanta there. I just think the gap is a little too big for them to jump up, to that 7 seed, because whoever's in that 7 seed is going to have a pretty hefty lead, I think. And with that 7 seed being said, I also have Brooklyn there. It's been even like the game that they won in Boston the other night, they were down 28 points or 27 points. Like they were down big. So like even in the games that they've won, they haven't played very good. But they're still a fun team to watch sometimes. Like it's cool. It's good seeing Mikal spread his wings, become a more potent offensive player. But I think Miami, like Gabe said, they're going to play with that sense of urgency. Like we're too good to be in the play-in. We need to start winning some games. And I think they'll eventually get out of that play-in and jump the Brooklyn Nets. And I would probably have the same order. Brooklyn losing to Atlanta and being out of the playoffs. And I'll probably have the Raptors getting in. I think that they could beat the Brooklyn Nets.
Definitely some good picks. I will have the Wizards as well as my 10 seed. I just don't trust enough in what the Bulls are doing right now. And as much as we give the Wizards a hard time on this podcast, they've been playing relatively decent 500 basketball for a pretty good stretch of time now. And despite the fact that the Bulls defense has been really good at times, it's also had some moments where it just looks terrible and their offense hasn't been good enough to keep up with it. I don't trust them enough right now, and so I got to give them the Wizards. I think the Hawks are going to fall down to the number 9 seed. The Raptors are just playing better basketball right now, and Hawks might feel some level of desperation, but Trae Young needs to start figuring out how to score the basketball again from the perimeter for that to matter, and that just seems to not be the case right now. Hopefully for his and the Hawks' sakes, that can happen, but as of right now, it's been a struggle for him as of late, and hopefully that can be turned around. But I do have them in the 9 seed. I would definitely have them beating the Wizards in that play-in game, but I would have them in the 9 seed, and then I would have Toronto in the 8 seed. I think they'll continue to play some better basketball. The addition of Jakob Poeltl has really proved well for their defense. It's given them a little bit more bench with a little bit more depth with Gary being pushed to the bench, and that's been to their benefit as well. And I think Miami are going to stay as the 7 seed. I definitely don't feel anywhere near as good about Brooklyn as I did a few weeks ago with regards to staying out of the play-in tournament, but they've still been good enough that I don't think Miami are going to quite make that jump over them. If Miami were playing a little bit better, then maybe, but they're just a team that still doesn't give me any big vote of confidence that they're going to make some big run. They're such a defensively minded, oriented team that they're in a dogfight every night, and they're winning by 2, 3, 4 points. Every night's a close game, and that means they're going to lose some of them, and it doesn't really lend to a team that I think is going to go on a big run. And so I think Brooklyn is going to hold on to that 6 seed. I do think Miami would beat Toronto in a 7v8 matchup. that would send them in as the 7 seed anyways. And if I'm a Raptors fan, I would not want to play Trae Young even with the struggling shot right now in a play-in tournament, because I think he would send us packing and the Hawks would end up being the 8 seed again.
Trae Young can get a game, bro. It's so crazy. Yeah, I see what you're saying about Miami, though. I feel like they've struggled figuring out their offensive identity. Like, it seems like the consistency is not really there. Like, Tyler Hero has nights where he just is, like, non-existent offensively. And, we already know Jimmy's already the kind of guy that's, like, kind of coasts during the regular season. But it's like, if they want to get out of the play-in, he kind of has to, like, start playing playoff basketball a little early. So I can see, like, you have valid concerns about Miami, for sure, because they kind of been this way all year. So it would take a lot for them to just like flip the switch right now and just start winning a bunch of games. But I just don't have that same confidence in Brooklyn, man. Like, they're just so up and down with this, reformed team. I just don't have that same confidence that they can hold on to the 6th seed.
Yeah, Brooklyn, like, I think their record shows them a little bit better than they may actually be. I mean, like, in this post-trade era, like, blown out by 50 to the Bulls, that's not good. Yeah, you beat the Celtics, but you were down big. Wins against, like, the Hornets, blown out by the Knicks. Like, they already lost to Atlanta once, so if that's the play-in, like, rematch, it's not looking too hot. Just kind of across the board, it's like, I don't know. Then it's, like, upcoming matchups with the Bucks, Nuggets, Kings, Cavs, Nuggets again, Cavs again, Miami, and what'll be a huge matchup. It's like the schedule doesn't look great. They don't look great. And it's like, yeah, he's been playing phenomenal since he's gotten there, but they're probably relying on, like, Mikal Bridges going out and getting 30 a night just to win these games. And I just don't know how sustainable that is for a guy who had, 1 or 2 30-point games before moving to Brooklyn. I don't know how sustainable that is through the end of the season. So it's just, if I had to put money on it right now, I'm 1,000% putting my money on them falling down. And as inconsistent as Miami's been, I do think that this version of Miami is still better than what the Brooklyn Nets have been since the KD trade.
I don't know if I would take that to Vegas. I don't have that much confidence in Miami, but I see what you're saying. I feel like it's a little different, though. You said, like, they're relying on Mikal. I feel like they don't know who to rely on. It seems like, to me, like, it's a different guy almost every single night. I think Mikal had back-to-back, like, 30-plus point games their last 2 games. But other than that, I feel like it's been some Mikal, it's been some Cam Johnson, it's been some Spencer Dinwiddie. I think Cam Thomas has still had a game or two since the trades, since those trades were made. Like, I feel like it's more of like a by committee, like a different night, it can be a different guy. So maybe they do need to figure out, like, okay, this is our go-to guy. And, we're just going to ride him to get into this postseason. I would like to see them in the postseason personally, like as a 6th seed. So I think that first round matchup could be kind of entertaining. They're a young team they're going to score a lot of points, and they could probably give somebody some type of fits in that first round, whether it's Philly or, Cleveland or whoever it is at that 3 seed.
And a team in the playoffs that has no pressure on them and nothing to lose is a dangerous team to play, especially if they get an upset early in the series.
Hey, if they play Philly, if Brooklyn plays Philly in the first round, man, might be
nice. Comes out the tunnel.
It might
like
be
Willis Reed.
Oh, man. That would be the craziest series from a team that'll have all the pressure on them to a team that has no pressure on them. If they walk out and win game 1 on the road, oh, man. I already know the narratives are about to be crazy.
Is it crazy that Philly probably has the most pressure on them out of anybody? And, like, they've never made it to a conference finals. They're not the favorites this year. Not even in the top 2 favorites out east. So it's like they probably still have the most pressure on them out of any organization in basketball.
I mean, listen to what you just said. They never made the conference finals.
I mean, sure, that point.
That's why they have the pressure. I feel like
that point, yeah. But it's like all we talk about all year is Celtics, Bucks, Celtics, Bucks, Celtics, Bucks. But it's still Philly that has the most pressure on them, which is like you would think the 2 teams that are the front runners would have more pressure, but it's like no, they don't. It's all on Philly, and it's like Philly for a point of the season was kind of an afterthought, behind those 2 teams. But they started playing better basketball over the last couple of months, so they're kind of starting to reassert themselves into like a dark horse kind of conversation.
I think part of it too is that there's a little bit more fear and concern that Philly could end up slipping in a first or a second round to an opponent that they probably should beat. Whereas people don't really think that's going to be a situation with the Celtics or with the Bucks. Now, if that happened, chaos could ensue, but I don't think that's really something that people are considering, because I think most people think the Celtics and the Bucks will fairly comfortably get through the first round. Even if it ends up going 6 or 7 games, they should look like the better team. And similarly in the second round, most people expect that those are going to be the two teams in the Eastern Conference Finals. And until they prove otherwise come playoff time, I don't think people are going to be too worried about them potentially flopping like people are about the 76ers, because we've seen them do it before time and time again.
I mean, just looking at the two front runners, like, what do they have to even prove? I mean, I guess for the Celtics, you could say they need to prove that they can get it done and win a ring. But like Milwaukee, they've got their ring. They've proven themselves. A lot of people still say they would have went back last year if they had Chris Middleton. Like, people's mindset is that the Bucks, when healthy, are the best team, and they've gotten to the mountaintop. Like, they've proved that they can be the best team with this core. The Celtics, they were 2 games away from a championship a year ago, and they've been a conference finals mainstay for half a decade. Like, they've shown that they've been on that stage. And even when it was like the baby Celtics in 2018, like, they took it to 7. I mean, got out against Miami last year, had a couple other times in between. I can't remember if the bubble series went to 6 or 7, but they got into a deep one with Miami that year as well. And so it's like the Celtics have been there. They've been pretty far. And while they did come up short in that same time period in the conference finals for a while, now they've been there. Really, right now, it's like Philly, they bought in, they made their trade for James Harden, and they've had Joel Embiid, who I think a lot of people think is the archetype of a player who may decline quickly after 30. Like, you never know what your timetable is with a player that's not only a 7-foot big man, but also a player that's had a bit of an injury history. So you're thinking you got to capitalize while the iron is hot. While you have him, while James Harden is only getting older, of course there's going to be a lot of pressure there because James Harden hasn't got a ring, hasn't been to a final since OKC, and yeah, he was playing against the Dynasty Warriors, but he still hasn't done it. Like, the facts are just the facts. And then Embiid to not even gotten to a conference finals, especially when the East really didn't get too strong until maybe last year. So for him to not even break through then, and then to be like one of these top MVP candidates year in, year out, and still not get there, it's a lot of pressure. And even like right now, the most pressure may be on like them. And then after them, it's probably like maybe like the Nuggets or Clippers, maybe, because the Nuggets, like, I think people are thinking like, oh, Jokic is a 3-time MVP. Now we need to see it translate in the playoffs. That kind of gives them some pressure. And then, the Clippers bought in for Kawhi and PG, and they have one conference finals that Kawhi didn't play in to show for it. So, like, those teams do have some pressure there. I wouldn't say Phoenix is – I personally don't think Phoenix is under – I don't know if Phoenix is under too much because –
I think they're under a little bit, though, because we were talking like their window's probably, at least with Chris Paul being there, is probably not as big. Like, they might have this season and maybe one more year. Like, then that's a maybe. And even though Chris Paul is declining, it's like, who are they going to be able to bring in to replace what he brings to the team? Even though he's not out here getting 18 and 10 assists like he was in his prime, he's still very valuable at what he does. And, his basketball mind is almost one of one. So I think there is a little bit of pressure on them. Like, they kind of should make the finals this year to give themselves a chance to win the championship with this current core. And it's funny saying that because KD just got there like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But
that's the thing is midseason trades. I'll let you go ahead, though.
I think that's the one good thing with the KD trade is it's similar to the Chris Paul trade, and the only difference now is that it's extending a window instead of opening it. But I think they gave themselves a couple more years. And the nice thing about the Chris Paul contract is they're in year 2 this year. Next year is only half guaranteed. The year after is non-guaranteed. They keep him around for one more year with KD, Book, and Ayton. That's their next run at it. If they want to get another point guard in, they can trade Chris Paul after next season with his last year on his deal. Someone will happily take him and buy him out because it's the non-guaranteed money. They can bring in another point guard in said trade. and they keep it going again with Booker and KD for a couple more years, assuming KD stays healthy, which, given injury concerns, questionable, but given the fact he's only 34, you could still get a few more good years out of him as long as he can stay relatively available. So I think they still have a few more years than they might have pre the Kevin Durant trade due to the fact now that they're not relying on Chris Paul being that guy alongside Devin Booker. If in a year's time they want to move off him and get another guy at point guard spot who might not be an elite point guard by any stretch because they're probably not going to have the assets or the financial flexibility to do so. But if they can go out and get a solid starting point guard, they'll be fine and they can still compete for a couple more years, assuming KD's still healthy and available to play for them.
Yeah, that's why I said like just a little bit of pressure because, like you said, they did extend the window, and hopefully KD can stay healthy over that time. But that's just part of the concerns, like maybe why this season could be one of their best opportunities to do so. And with the West being, as we would consider, wide open, like there may not be a more clear opportunity for them to get to the finals. Because you never know what could happen. A team can add another star player in the West next season. Like you never know what can happen. So that's why they're definitely not under like near as much pressure as like a Philly. I would even argue like Boston or whoever else, but there's probably just a little bit.
If this wasn't a midseason trade, I think that they'd have a lot more pressure. If it was like a full season, it's like, oh, like KD did this thing in Brooklyn and now he's going and forming another super team going with Booker, CP3, and Ayton. And now if they don't get it done, it's going to be like a giant sell. But, the fact that it happened midseason, I think if somehow they do fall short, especially if it's like related to injury stuff, I mean, you're going to get like people on Twitter that are clowning them and everything. But like realistically, I don't know how many people's like legacies are like on the line here. Because I mean, Booker at the end of the day, his window is still quite wide. He's still not old at all. And then, like, I guess maybe Chris Paul, but like Chris Paul at this point is like the fourth option on this team. So it's like if this team loses, if they win, does it cement Chris Paul as like a GOAT? Like how much does that actually increase his standing at this point? Like think about that. Like think about that. If he gets a ring now, it's not like, oh, he went to this team and got them a ring. Like if that happened in 2021, yeah, maybe. But if they win the ring, it's going to be like, oh, KD and Devin Booker got this team a championship. So whose legacy is really on the line? What, Kevin Durant because he couldn't win one without Steph?
Well,
I mean, the only one we said Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have a couple years. Chris Paul's the one who might be out. So it's like
we hope they have a couple years, but weird parallel. But KD was just in a situation where they made a midseason trade, and I'm sure that first year we're all thinking like, Kyrie got hurt and Harden was banged up. They never got back to even that point, getting to a second round game 7. So I'm just saying, yeah, it's a midseason trade. You're probably not expecting to win this season, but it would be nice if you could put yourself in position to at least get to the finals. So
definitely,
just little devil's advocate. That's all I'm saying, because we've seen situations very recently where teams make midseason trades, and that's probably their best opportunity to win the finals, and they don't even get there. So, hopefully the health is good and they can be the team that we're kind of expecting them to be even this season, but years past this as well.
Yeah, certainly. I think the Clippers definitely are a team that probably should have more pressure on them than there has been. I mean, it gets talked about a bit, but generally speaking, for a team that acquired Kawhi, that traded for Paul George, that gave up a player who's now arguably better than both of them at times throughout the year in SGA, to all the other names that they already have on this roster, from Russ to Norm to Eric Gordon, you have Zubac, you have Mason Plumlee, you have Marcus Morris. There are so many names on this roster, and they are just not getting talked about at all. And they're currently not even guaranteed to be in the play-in, never mind a top 6 seed. And I feel like that's definitely a team that is missing out on some of the pressure that probably should be shifted their way a bit more.
I'm not a fan of the blame game, but I will say this. For a team like the Lakers won a championship, and these two teams were pretty much assembled at the same exact time. Both made major offseason additions the same offseason. Lakers won a championship, and they're talked about like they got more pressure than the Clippers. The Clippers have not done shit. They made one conference finals in a 4-year span. Like they made one conference finals. They missed the playoffs too, which doesn't get talked about. I know Kawhi was out. They still had a pretty solid team around Paul George. Missed the playoffs. So it's like you said, they don't get talked about nearly enough on the pressure scale. Like they should be, I think, right up there with Philadelphia. Because like you said,
100%.
the assets that they gave up to get Paul George, getting Kawhi Leonard, all the trades that they've made over the last couple of years. I just saw something earlier. The Knicks have Emmanuel quickly because of the Marcus Morris trade.
Yeah.
Like there's so many like pieces that they had to give up to get this core into place. Like they should be under, I think, the most pressure in the Western Conference, like even more so than Denver. Definitely more than like Phoenix. They should be right up there with like how we're talking about Philly. Like there should be a lot of pressure on this team to make. I don't even know if like making it to a conference finals is good enough. Like they damn near got to make it to the NBA finals and put themselves in a position to actually win that series, which we all don't really see that happening. Maybe Gabe does because he's a Clipper fan on the pod, but me, I definitely don't see that happening. So they, like you said, they should be talked about a lot more than what they are as far as pressure goes.
I agree. I don't know. I think the big thing with this team is like people think of it, and if you think about like what gives these teams this pressure, a lot of the times it has to do with their star. Think about like Philly, it's like, oh, Joel hasn't been to the conference finals. James Harden doesn't have a ring. Even like the Suns, it's like, oh, KD couldn't win without Steph. Oh, Chris Paul, he's never been able to get the job done. Looking at like Denver, oh, Jokic is a 3-time MVP, but he can't get to a finals. Like, is he really? I mean, if you're thinking 3 MVPs, you're thinking like top 10 player all time, but he can't even get out of the West once. And so you look at that, and then you come to the Clippers and you come to Kawhi, and it's like, I don't think people put pressure on Kawhi because, he already has 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs with 2 different franchises, including one of the greatest playoff runs we've seen in recent memory. And so given that, I think because people associate so much now teams with players and with stars, they're just not thinking about it like that. But if you do think about it from the organizational standpoint, I do think this organization does have a ton of pressure on them because they've sold everything and they've just kept building and they've kept building and they've kept bringing in players. And most of these guys aren't getting younger. Like they're now like the classic like retirement home type team. And, you got a guy who like who on this team is getting better in the future? Who on this team haven't we seen the best basketball out of?
Brandon Boston.
Yeah, they're G League players.
And so at that point, like you look at that and it's like, yeah, they probably will have to get it done. But like, do we think they can get it done? I called them on the level of Philly, but we don't even know if they're going to be in the playoffs. And like, yeah, it's like a strong team, but more and more it's looking like that's just an on-paper thing because on paper, like we've seen Kawhi has played great. Paul George, he's had good moments, especially recently. And then like you look at the roster from top to bottom and it's just like, yeah, like Marcus Morris is a guy we've seen real good things out of. Zubac is a good center to have when you have a lot of really high-impact ball-dominant players because he doesn't need it. Russell Westbrook, he was in 6 Man of the Year contentions. He was playing decent. Like a lot of people were like, he might be a problem, but he's not the problem in LA, which is a big improvement from last year. I think, like Eric Gordon was a capable player. He just hadn't been in a good situation. Plumlee was doing good things. It's like this team has so many players that look good, and you say, well, why can't it work? And for some reason, whether that be players sitting out, whether that be just like lack of a true system, just because things keep flipping, whether it's because of the roster inconsistency, because they keep bringing new guys in so it can never become set and situated for a long time. Whatever that may be, this team has bought this much and is currently 1 game over 500, about a month away from the NBA playoffs. So if they don't get it together soon, yeah, man, this team is going nowhere fast, and that contender list is only getting smaller. At that point, if they don't start to get their stuff together, like I damn near already took Denver off of my contender list last week. I think given some stuff that we may or may not talk about, I don't know how you guys feel. The Grizzlies are probably not contenders this season anymore to me. So at that point, it's really the Suns and the field. Second at this point, might be the Warriors. They might have just entered that because everybody else seems to be falling apart. Thank you.
Like the beam. I love when Gabe rants. I love it, man. Goes on those 5-minute tangents, man. I love it. But yeah, it might be different if like Kawhi stayed in Toronto and they were in this weird situation because like Kawhi 2-time champ, 1-1 for the Raptors. That's why we don't say Giannis is under any pressure because he won a damn championship in Milwaukee and he's still there, probably gonna win another one. Like that's why nobody says there's any pressure on Giannis because he's still with the same team. But Kawhi left and brought Paul George basically with him with the idea of we want to win another championship for the Clippers, and they haven't put themselves in position to do so. So, moral of this conversation, there should be more pressure on them, but for some reason they won't get talked about. Maybe it's because they're always going to be the Lakers' little brother, and that's just how it's going to be in LA, like forever. Maybe it's that, but I don't know. I feel like like you said, they're one game above 500, and it's like nobody talks about it. Maybe it's like indifferent, like people don't really care too much enough to say something, but I don't know. If this was the Lakers that was a game above 500, they would be panicking. If it was, Golden State, they might still be panicking a little bit. Like with the Clippers, it's like nobody cares, which is just kind of weird.
It's the stars, man. I'm telling you, it's because Kawhi is a quiet, nice.
But people don't like Paul George though. People don't really like Paul George either. So it's like,
that's a much better point.
And Westbrook is so polarizing too. Like some people don't blame Westbrook for the Lakers stuff. Other people blame Westbrook for everything that went wrong in LA the last year and a half. So it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird. I will say on the Russ point, I do feel like the Clippers have got a little bit more blame and pressure on them over the last week since they've been losing games with Russ in town. But I mean, when you're talking about a Clippers team, like you say, that is only one game above 500. I mean, they were 2 games above 500 last year, and Paul George didn't play half the season, and Kawhi didn't play. These guys have been around a lot more this season, and arguably with better surrounding pieces, and they're in the same spot. And that's definitely got to be putting some pressure, again, if not on Kawhi, and if not even fully on Paul George, then definitely internally on this organization.
I think in their last 20 games since like Kawhi ramped it up, started playing like more games. I think they're like 12-8 in those games, which is like not good when your best player is finally back playing healthy. He's been playing really good basketball too. Like it might be a deeper problem than just looking at their star players who's available. I don't know. Maybe it's a Ty Lue situation. Maybe they are cursed, Gabe. Like that might be what it is. I don't know. It's just weird because Kawhi's back playing healthy. Paul George has been playing really good lately. They made all these trades. Plumlee's been a good addition. Like Westbrook hasn't been bad per se, hasn't been amazing, but he hasn't been like garbage. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just a deeper problem than just their guys being healthy and playing. Like, might be more coaching, organizational stuff. I don't know. Just weird. Weird thing.
Definitely a weird situation. Let's move on to our play-in tournament predictions in the Western Conference. Definitely going to be a little bit more interesting to see who gets left out in the West, because in the East, we were really only deciding between the Bulls and the Wizards on who got that 10 seed and who fell. There's 3 teams on the outside looking in who could make a legitimate push right now, who are all either tied for the 10 seed or only a half game back, those being OKC, the Lakers, and Portland after their win tonight over Detroit. So we'll start with you. Who do you have making the play-in tournament in the Western Conference?
You should start with me. I didn't. I think you cut out like when you said.
Oh, did I? Okay.
It cut out right on the name. I didn't know what you said.
Right.
Okay, I said Gabe. You can give it a start.
Okay. Dude, that is hilarious because we really got so sidetracked, and I don't even know how we got there. I didn't even realize we hadn't talked about the West.
Philly, man.
Really, they really just something about them, man. So, all right, let me cook up this scenario for you guys. All right. So, recently, there's some teams that things have not been going so well for. Among these teams are the Pelicans and the Jazz. Me, personally, I am going to predict some absolute chaos to happen in this conference. And I think that the 9 and the 10 seed is going to be Portland and LA. Because while Portland should have no confidence for me, while Portland has not been a good team this season, and while Portland has continued to be right around mediocre, even with Damian Lillard averaging 40 points per game, at the same time, the Pelicans at one point this season were a 1 seed. At one point this season, the Jazz were actually a 1 seed. And Brandon Ingram and Lauri Markkanen are both very good players. However, the Jazz were once a 1 seed, and where are they at now? Almost out of the play-in. Did we think that they could still be a playoff team this season? We did. At this point in the season, after they gave away several of their most prominent and impactful players to the Lakers, I just don't think they have the firepower. AD's been playing really well, even with LeBron out. The Lakers supporting cast has stepped up, done decent. They even just won a game with D'Lo and LeBron out, I think. That's a good sign. I think they can do some really good stuff. And I think the fact that they're now tied for the 10 seed, I think Anthony Davis does have enough in him to get in over the Jazz. And I do think that Damian Lillard on this insane stretch has enough to also get in over the Jazz. Then you might be saying, oh, but the Pelicans have literally been so much better all season. They have a really deep team. They just have not been able to win games well without Zion. They have not been the same team at all. They were a great team. And then they just kind of fell off. They just have been consistently just a losing team since Zion's went out. And the fact that it seems like we never know when he's going to come back. We never really know what his status is. I don't see this team holding on, man. They've continued to fall. They've continued to fall. Now they're only a half game above the rest of these teams. At that point, they have not shown me anything post-Zion actually playing basketball to tell me that they're a better team. And so in that case, I'm going to predict the chaos. I'm going to say somehow the NBA is going to rig it to where we get the stars in the playoffs. And we're going to see that 9-10 game. It's going to be between Damian Lillard and LeBron. You know what's going to happen in that game?
Dang goes for 60.
Portland's going to win. Portland's going to win.
I like it.
One game, Damian Lillard masterclass, this 40-point barrage he's been going on, 70 points in a game. Call me crazy, but that's going to be the biggest pack watch for Lakers fans in a while. And there's been a lot of those recently, but I'm predicting chaos. And so what's going to happen then? The Mavericks are going to play the Clippers because neither of these teams can win a game, but both of these teams managed to stay above 500. So I do think they're going to stay where they're at. When it comes time for this game, this is a series that we've seen several times, and now the Mavericks have acquired Kyrie Irving. However, at the same time, they've lost all of their defense, and even though the Clippers I just gave a giant rant on and are literally league average 16th in defense this year, that's still better than the defense that the Mavericks have been playing recently. So, at the end of the day, you're probably going to get 70, 80 points combined from Kyrie and Luka. But give me the Clippers. So give me the Clippers to face the second seed in the first round. Clippers win the first playing game. And so then that brings me down to the Mavericks versus Damian Lillard. And I'm saying Damian Lillard on purpose because it just seems to be him out there. And so at this point, you may be asking me, hey, can you get the fuck on with it already? Who is winning the game? The Mavericks will take care of it handily because you better bet your ass Luka Doncic is not missing the playoffs. So, to recap, my final 7 seed will be the Clippers, and my final 8 seed will be the Mavericks, with the Blazers beating the Lakers in the 9-10 game.
They might not miss the playoffs either, though, man. That they just might be going back and forth until game ones are getting ready to start. That's tough.
That's true, man. They might be in 100 overtimes.
They might. All right, let's go to the obvious team, man. Until you brought it up, Gabe, I forgot Utah was a 1 seed for a week. They were actually a 1 seed.
It was 3 weeks, bro. They were a 1 seed for a minute.
They kept jumping back and forth, but they were a 1 seed for a decent amount of the early season. Like, I forgot that even happened. The Jazz overachieved this season. They're not making the play-in. The teams behind them, too many heavy hitters. The Jazz have made moves to where we're like, okay, we see why they're falling off. They traded away a lot of their quality talent. And like we mentioned earlier, Chris Dunn's playing minutes for them. He's playing good minutes, but he's playing minutes for them. So it's like, obviously, they don't really care about winning because they made all those moves to do so. So Jazz obviously out, right? The two teams below them. I'm very worried about New Orleans. I really am. I love this team so much, but I'm so worried. 13 of their last 17 games are against teams that have something to play for. With the worst team I think they're playing against is OKC, and I think they have a game or two against them. But we know OKC, they're kind of in that race too. Like, they're not too far. I think they're a half game back, so they're right there as well. So that's another team that I'm even kind of considering. It's tough. Since we don't know if Zion's even going to be back, I had to say that they fall out, man. Even though they got BI and CJ still playing, they're just such a different team without Zion, and we've seen that on display this season. When he was there playing early on, he was playing some of the best basketball of really any forward in the league, and they were a 1 seed at that time. Now, the West was a little congested still at the top, but they were a 1 seed at that time when Zion was healthy. Without BI and CJ in the rotation, they were a 1 seed with just him playing out there. So with the uncertainty of him being back anytime soon, I have to say that they fall out, especially with their schedule being so tough on the back half of the season. And I'm with Gabe. I think Portland and the Lakers jump up. Even though LeBron's being reevaluated in, I think, a couple weeks, AD's been playing really good basketball lately. Like, he's back to that form where he was early on in the season before he missed a big chunk. He's been playing really good. And they just brought in so many quality players that just play their role. We all said Laker fans will fall in love with Vanderbilt. He's been amazing for them. So I think even if, like, Bron misses some time, if D'Lo comes back or not anytime soon, I think they got enough to just stay afloat, win more games than the competition ahead of them, except maybe Portland. But I think that they'll get in. It'll be a 9-10 matchup. That 9-10 matchup is gonna be so good, man. It's gonna be so good.
Bro. You know you want to do it, bro. And there's no reason why you should.
It's
LA
like
is
Dame.
the team here.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, after the trades, yeah. Dame can win a game, but we know LeBron James is the best elimination game player of all time. It's just really a question of how healthy is LeBron going to be. I don't know. Like, if right now with the uncertainty, I'm gonna push for Portland because I know Dame can win a game. Dame can win a game, and I'm expecting them to be in Portland too. The way I'm picturing it, 9-10, it'll be in Portland. I'm expecting Dame to go ballistic, win a game, because we know Dame can do that. We know Bron can do it too, but is he going to be fully healthy? I don't know. And 7-8, I think Dallas is going to jump Minnesota. Minnesota's been so shaky, up and down. I don't know what to expect from them. I think they'll be back in the play-in like they were last season. And we're going to get a rematch, not the one that Gabe was talking about, but we're going to get an old-fashioned play-in rematch between the Timberwolves and the Clippers. Who would I take in this match? I don't know. Two teams that frustrate me. Minnesota for obvious reasons. I think I'm going to take as much shit as we just talked about the Clippers, I think I'll take them because Kawhi wasn't there last year. He'll be there this year. Kawhi's one of the best playoff players, elimination game players we've seen. So I'll take the Clippers. And as far as that second matchup, Dame can definitely win the game. I can see Minnesota missing the playoffs. Like, that's kind of how I feel. But I think Minnesota will probably get that. That's a lot to ask Dame to go back-to-back. You see how I'm saying Dame too? Because this is Dame against the Timberwolves. That'll be a lot to ask Dame to go back-to-back ballistic games in win or go home situations. So I think Minnesota will get the 8 seed. I don't love it, but that's just how we are. 1 seed to 8 seed. That's just how preseason predictions go, man.
Hey, at least they'd still be in the playoffs, so that's worth something.
And they could probably beat Denver the way that we be talking about them.
I mean, look, I don't know.
Maybe not beat them.
If those are the 7 and 8 seeds, and I'm looking at the Western Conference as of today, I don't think I feel confident in saying any first round matchup is a gimme for anyone. So that's just the nature of the West.
I'll go down and throw some crazy parlays down.
Pick all the lower seeds to win.
Oh, I'm picking Clippers against Nuggets any day of the week, bro.
I guess.
If we get to a playoff predictions episode and you say, "Oh, it's the Clippers in the 8 seed versus the Nuggets," be ready for Clippers in 7, and I stand on that. If it gets to that point,
7, man.
If it gets to that point and we're making those predictions,
that is a revenge series because the bubble was not kind, man. The bubble was not kind.
For real. That would be a crazy series. Man, there's no way to pick these teams and feel like I'm doing it right. Someone, if not 2, if not 3 teams are missing out that probably deserve to at least be in the play-in. It's tough. It's really tough out west this year. Utah, I have fallen out as well. Like you guys mentioned, you touched on it. They moved off their guys. They finally bought into the direction that we expected from day one. They've more than overachieved this year. There's no shame in them falling out of the play-in tournament, and in fact, it's probably better for them long term. So I have them dropping out. Then it gets tough because you guys made great points for Dame. You guys made great points for the Lakers. And I wanted to think about OKC here too, and I just can't quite believe in them enough, even though I'm really going to believe in them next year, and I have some nasty narratives I'm going to push for them this offseason. We're not there yet. I don't think they make it either. I think the Pelicans stay in. The Pelicans are my 10 seed, and as much as they've struggled, I really like the way the BI has been playing lately, and I still believe enough in this team as a whole that I think they're going to do enough to stay in above one of the Trailblazers or the Lakers because of the fact they have that depth and they have more than just one star guy, which, if the hinting didn't allude to enough, is the reason why I don't have Portland in this play-in tournament, because as much as I love how well Dame has been playing and as great as he has been, I don't know if Dame by himself is going to be enough for them to carry them the rest of the way. He's been so good. If he can do it, fair play to him, and he deserves a hell of credit just for getting them there, even if they don't make the playoffs. I just don't know if he's going to be able to sustain this for this level for this long. And I'm not expecting a significant drop-off, but he's been outrageous the last month to month and a half. And I just don't know if he can get that for another month and a bit. If he can do it, like I said, full credit to him. I just don't think it's going to happen. My 9 seed ends up being the Clippers. I think they're going to slip a little bit more. I think they're going to fall down to the 9 seed. We've talked about it a lot this episode, but I'm just not buying into what they have there right now from a roster construction standpoint and how they're playing on a night-to-night basis. The names are there. The top-end talent is there, but I'm just not buying in. I think they're going to continue slipping a little bit more, and I think they're going to fall down to the 9 seed. I'm fully bought in on the Lakers. I have them up to the 8 seed. And like you guys alluded to, AD has been great. He's been playing really good basketball since LeBron's been out. Most importantly, their defense has been really, really good. Now, a big part of that has been AD. A big part of that has been Jared Vanderbilt, too. And them as a duo in the front court has been very, very good together. And if they can continue to keep that up, which, I mean, those guys are reputationally 2 very good defenders, I don't see why that's not going to continue. Them leading your front court is going to lead to having a very good defense, and I think that's going to help them win a few more games down the stretch where even if they have bad offensive nights, they're going to be able to pick up some wins down the stretch where Portland, when Dame even only drops 25, might not be able to do such a thing. Same thing with Utah. If Laurie only drops 20, they're going to struggle a little bit more. The Lakers, I can rely on still picking up a couple of wins down the stretch, even with some not great offensive nights because of that good defense. So I think they're going to move on up to the 8 seed. And I have Dallas as my 7 seed. I think the Timberwolves are going to hold off just enough. The Mike Conley trade's doing well for them. Rudy's playing his best ball of the year, especially in the offensive end. McDaniels continues to be a key part of their defense as he continues to play well. And I think they have just enough to stay above the Mavericks, because the Mavericks might have the names, but I don't really trust their consistency right now, even though Luka and Kyrie individually have been playing well. The team I don't trust enough to consider anything more than a 7 seed. For my 9-10 matchup, Pelicans and the Clippers. I mean, if Zion's back, they might have a chance, but without Zion, there's no shot. I got to give that to Kawhi. because, as you guys mentioned, Kawhi is just that guy come playoff time. As a Raptors fan, I know all about that and how dominant he can be. So there's no doubt for me he will win that 9-cent matchup. For the Lakers and the Mavericks, I mean, you're talking about a great defensive team against a team that ain't going to stop nothing, but they might go drop 130 if Luka or Kyrie can get going enough. I got to take that offensive duo because of the question mark around LeBron's health. So I think Dallas do end up being the 7 seed. Moving on, then.
Finally get it. Battle of LA, huh?
They do get the Battle of LA. Not where most people would have expected to see the Battle of LA when these teams were formed. But here we are in a play-in tournament fighting for the 8 seed. And Kawhi might be that guy, but I trust the Lakers defense a little bit more than the current roster construction of the Clippers and how they've been playing. I'd give the Lakers the 8 seed. And I think the Clippers would get bounced again in the play-in tournament. And Lord knows what that would do for the Clippers come this offseason. But I don't think they get in as things currently stand. Even with LeBron not healthy, I think the Lakers would bounce them regardless of how healthy he may or may not become the postseason.
Even though the Clippers have beaten the Lakers like 10 straight times.
Got to beat them eventually.
That's true. That is true.
The script's got to flip eventually.
Okay. If that's the script, I would not hate it.
The Lakers fan on the podcast, man. Okay.
That would be the most watched. Who's a Laker fan?
Hey, I'm just a fan of good defense, especially come playoff time, and that we know. That's for sure.
Now they got good defense again, and now it's
all you got to do is add Vanderbilt, and all of a sudden you're up on Dev's rankings.
Bought in.
What I love the most, we all had different matchups. Like nothing was really that much the same. Like I feel like everybody had a different, if not teams, different orders.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's the Western Conference summed up this year. There's just a big mess of teams fighting for seeds every night, and they're flipping up and down every night. And things are starting to become a little bit more clear in terms of tiers. But pretty much all year, for the most part, it's been a really tough Western Conference to truly understand and figure out how good are some of these teams actually. It's been a really tough year for that.
I will say
I was really hoping. Go ahead.
You can go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was really hoping somebody would have Dallas fall out just because I thought that would be hilarious. But
Kyrie's
I was not going to be the one to commit to it.
That offense can just be too good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a world where they become a 9 or a 10 seed. And I'd find it hard to imagine that even as bad as that defense is, there's no way Luka and Kyrie don't have at least out of 1 or 2 nights have a good enough offensive performance to stay in the playoffs. There's no way. Yeah,
I will a little caveat. The Warriors have 10 road games left. They play more on the road than they do at home at the end of the season. They've only won 7 road games. So just saying, there's a possibility they could find themselves in the play-in if they don't tighten up on the road. They have 1 more road win than I think Houston and San Antonio, which is like, whoa, that's insane because those are the 2 worst teams by far in the Western Conference. So I'm just putting it out there. The Warriors could find themselves fighting the last couple of days of the regular season to sustain themselves in the top 6. I'm just saying.
It is very much a possibility, which is pretty crazy, but the Western Conference is crazy right now, so.
It's funny because I felt like they started playing better on the road, and I checked their record. They're 7-24.
Nah.
That is god
awful.
Awful.
And the thing is it is better, but it's still bad. It's just not horrific like it was up until the end of December.
I think every team that's in play-in contention has at least double-digit road wins, at least.
Yes. The only teams with single-digit road wins are the Hornets, Pistons, Spurs, and Rockets. That is it. Even OKC have 11. The Jazz and Pelicans also have 11. The next lowest is 14 for the Trailblazers and the Timberwolves. Other than the Grizzlies, actually, with 12. They have very much struggled on the road this year as well.
And Portland went through a stretch where they lost like 10 straight on the road. Like, that's crazy.
The fact that the Warriors are a 5 seed despite having 7 road wins is just crazy. Because, yeah, they've played more at home, but it's only 3 more home games than road games. So Like even so, the fact that they have 7 road wins and are currently a 5 seed just shows.
Don't they
that,
got
like,
27 home wins?
yeah. So people do not come to San Francisco and win. Like this team is hoping on everything and I don't know if I don't really think there's a path for them, but they're hoping on everything they can just bump up one more seed because if they get home court, they would be hard to take down. But
I think they're relying on we got to get one road win. Like they just have to. Like
Yeah.
they're relying on they got to steal one on the road early on in the series because man,
Yeah,
7 wins, that's abysmal, bro.
That is really rough. I mean, they have less road wins than the Hornets and the same amount as the Pistons, and that is really concerning. And like you say, sure, they're hoping to bump up to a top 4 seed. They're 4 games back of the Kings and 2 games back of the Suns. And I don't think they're making up 2 games on the Suns because I don't think the Suns are going to be in any type of losing streak down the stretch with the addition of KD. And even though some people are continuing to kind of expect a split from the Kings keep playing really good basketball. And I don't think there's going to be a world where they lose 4 games to the Warriors when they have that many road games left down the stretch. So unless the Warriors figure out how to play road games all of a sudden, I don't think there's a world where they're a top 4 seed. And they're going to have to, like you say, they're going to have to win one road game every series and just hope they continue to be one of the best teams at home in the league. Because otherwise they're going to be in a really tough spot.
Yeah, we got to stop that Kings, or not us, but people got to stop that Kings narrative. If they were going to fall off, it would have happened in like January. We're in March now. They are what they are. They're a good basketball team, like a pretty good basketball team. Like they're one of the teams in the West that are probably like, at least we know that they're actually good. Yeah. And they, like we mentioned, like how you said earlier, they're a team with no expectations. Probably the scariest that you could face in that first round. Like, I don't know how true that Lakers report was, how they were like, we want to play the Kings. Well, first off, motherfuckers, y'all got to get to the playoffs to even want to match up. But I would not want to see that Kings team in the first round. I don't care who I am, bro, because they're going to play so free, like they have nothing to lose. Very like a March Madness tournament team, just a team that is happy to be there. And they could easily upset somebody.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I know I wasn't the highest on the Kings, but like as far as like a playoff contender goes, I think they're definitely going to maintain a lot of their success throughout the regular season. But like right now, if the playoffs started today, that first round matchup is the Kings versus the Timberwolves. In that sense, I'm taking the Kings as of right now. I'm taking Sacktown, man. And even if it was like the Kings versus the Mavericks, like Mavericks got a great offensive duo, but like Kings got one of the best offensive in the league.
That series is going to be 150 to 148 every game.
Hey, nobody's playing defense anyways. But like, hey man, Sabonis is eating their front court alive.
Yeah. Oh, Dwight Powell. Y'all know how I feel about Dwight Powell.
So Sabonis is eating their front court alive.
Glad Maxi Kleber's starting to get back and play minutes because.
Yeah, they need him badly.
Yeah, if Dwight Powell's guarding you and you're an all-star, that should be a mandatory 30 points.
Yeah, for real saying. Though, for real.
Just saying. Yeah, playoffs should be fun. I wanted to ask y'all. I thought of this the other day, kind of on the spot, but what are some matchups that, even if they're not possible, like a first-round matchup, right? Like obviously, like Warriors, like Suns, or like some matchups just aren't like mathematically possible right now. Like, and they're probably not going to happen. But what are some matchups that y'all just like really want to see in this playoff run?
That's tough.
I know my first answer. Listen,
what is it?
Me personally, I gotta see Suns Mavericks for 7. There's just way too many storylines. It's just like the Suns and Mavericks last year with Luka cooking them in Game 7 and absolutely embarrassing them, and then you got this like the Nets breaking up and their 2 star players go to these 2 teams, and especially like the Suns have some title expectations, are the favorite in the conference, and then say the Mavericks somehow made it up to 5, and now it's like, oh, now your first test as a team in the postseason is like kind of a past demon that you got to get off your shoulder. Like, that's a great series with great storylines.
I think that's probably like everybody's at least top two that they want
Yeah,
to see at some point. But like
definitely.
even past that, like not the obvious, like we probably all want to see Celtics Bucks at some point because that would be a dogfight of a series. But like even past that, like I want to see like I think Celtics Cavs would be like a very entertaining first round or like mid round series. Like I think that would be a very good series to watch. That's when that
Definitely.
pops up.
Definitely.
Um,
I got two picks. One's probably not going to happen, and if it is, it'll be in the play-in. And one's probably not going to happen either unless they both really overperform. One's probably going to be a play-in matchup, which would be the Clippers against OKC. Because if SGA sends them boys packing in the play-in tournament, oh
that's a good
man,
one.
that would be great to see. That would be great to see. Out east, my other series pick would be the Hawks and the Knicks. I think another Trae Young, Julius Randle matchup would be great to see. Both teams, I think, or at least the Knicks this time around, I think are more well-rounded, a more complete team. And the Hawks, from a roster standpoint, are probably more complete. And Trae Young has to start playing better ball for that to truly come to fruition as how good they can be. But I think that'd be another really fun series to see play out again with the Knicks team that's probably a little bit more ready for the playoffs than they were the first time around.
What might be an interesting Knicks series probably won't happen, but Knicks and Heat, I think that would be a good, just nasty 98 to 94 type of series with Brunson, Butler, Randall just getting clutched. Ooh, that'd be a good series. I would enjoy that series.
That would be a really good series.
I would also like to see Memphis go against get rematches against both teams they played last year. I think, but especially them against the Warriors because the Timberwolves. Well, they still have Cat and Anthony Edwards. That team's had some fair turnover since last year with dudes like Patrick Beverly, Vanderbilt out the door. So especially Grizzlies versus Warriors running that back, I think would be a super fun series, assuming Ja Morant is there.
How about this? Wizards Bulls and the loser has to blow it up.
I
Great
am all
playing
in on
matchup.
that.
Great playing
I am
matchup.
all in on that.
I do
Let's
think
go.
some stuff that's like a first round series. I would enjoy Heat Bucks again because they've had a little mini rivalry over the past half decade or so, even probably 3-4 years. But ever since that bubble series with the Heat taking it to them, but then Bucks coming back during their finals run and just absolutely mollywhopping them.
Brent
And then
Waters.
even as recently as last year, I mean the Heat were still a conference finals contender. So it's these have been two teams that have made it pretty far the past couple of years, and I don't think we ever got a third series between them. So I mean, in that case, I'm easily picking the Bucks. I think at this point the Bucks are a much better team, but just for them to finally get that 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 finale just to finish off that little best of three, I think would be really cool for them.
I think the last one I had on my mind was like Bucks Philly. I think that would be and we could potentially get that. So I think that would be I don't know if fun is the word, but a lot will be on the line. I'll say that much. A lot will be on the line.
Now that we mentioned it, I'd really like Kings Mavericks too, just because from a basketball standpoint, just pushing the pace and just pure offense. Like you were talking about how Miami versus the Knicks would be 98-94. Like Kings Mavericks would be 135, 138 every game.
Just disgusting, but the kids will love it.
Yeah, for real. The NBA should and would have to market the heck out of that series for the fact of getting the young audience in. And we know how much I love defense, and especially come playoff time. But man, sign me up for that series. Sign me up for that.
Will not miss a game for sure.
And then if there's any more that I would have to see, I just think it would be funny if we got the Sixers versus the Hawks again. Because we keep talking about all the pressure on Philly, I think just the philosophical monkey on their back is kind of like could be represented by the Hawks because that's who they, blew that game 7-2 and definitely should have beat to go to the conference finals. What was that, 2 years ago? So yeah, that was 2 years ago. So thinking about that, them being able to get their redemption against the Hawks would probably be something that could propel them towards finally making that push.
I wouldn't hate it. That's just something that crossed my mind the other day, and I was wondering, like, if y'all had any matchups in mind.
I want the Kings to face somebody like a Timberwolves or a Grizzlies or like one of those teams that just makes enemies. Because I think the Kings would be really fun if like they ended up being one of those teams that just like we hate this other team. Like I need the Kings to get a good rival.
I think the Grizzlies hate everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
they don't have friends.
They do.
Which I like personally, but they don't have any friends.
Yeah. That's kind of how the culture of that team is. I mean, regardless of the jaw events over the last week, because I'm not overly wanting to discuss that. Just from a basketball standpoint, I mean, when you have Steven Adams and Dillon Brooks on your team, that's going to be the mentality of your team. That's just how those guys are built on the basketball court. They ain't making friends with no one out there. Off the court, especially with Steven Adams, great dudes, but on the court, yeah, they ain't making any friends out there. That's for sure.
I love that. God love it. We got some trivia though, don't we?
We do got some trivia.
Oh man, I should have studied more, man. Tyrik might cook me.
I mean, it's not no college stuff, so
I will tell you, yes, none of the hints that are being given are related to colleges. I ensured of that to maintain an even playing field for your sake, Gabe. We are a bit all over the map on that.
No,
so we're okay.
Oh
so
no!
Sure I have this set up properly before I start this here.
If it's like general trivia, I feel like I'm usually pretty decent, but specifically trade deadline, I don't know. I might get exposed here.
When you said general, are you talking about like general NBA trivia?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like regular, like random, like what is the first element on the periodic table or something like that.
Oh, it's hydrogen. That's easy.
Some people don't know that. I'm just saying. I was actually good at. I hate science, but I was good at like periodic table stuff.
Okay.
Trade deadline. Okay, I see it. Okay, so
it feels like the deadline was so long ago.
There we go. Okay.
Well,
this is about to be the new video format, man. This is what's gonna make us blow up. Make sure you guys play along down in the comments. Let us know what score you guys get down in the comments below. Did you do better than Tyrik did? Because I'm sure you'll probably do better than me. Please let us know. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.
Definitely. Be sure to feel free to play along. It is going to be a much more informal version of Jeopardy. The general theme is going to be trade deadline. We have 5 different topics, all of which will be introduced once a topic within that section is selected. Just so you guys are clear, I'm not sure how well you guys are familiar with Jeopardy, but you guys can select any of the given scores 100 through 500 for any topic for every turn. I'll choose that. You'll get a hint, and based on that hint, you guys will have to predict or guess the player that fits that clue. Just say buzz or some indication that you want to answer, and whoever I hear first is who I will let answer. So given
real quick, what's the last column? For me, the StreamYard logo is covering it up.
I think it's unemployed.
Unemployed, yes.
Okay,
unemployed. I will explain the what the topics mean once the first point within that section has been chosen. So I am going to use a randomizer real quick to see who gets to choose first.
Okay.
And that would be Gabe.
Hey, man. I think around here on 3 Point Weekly, we go big or we go home. So I do think that we're going to have to go. So before I answer this, so it's not like I answer it, then he steals. It's like just whoever has the answer first just says their name.
Yeah, whoever has the answer first,
okay.
Just let me know via, say, buzz or something, just to let me know you have the answer. If you don't get it right, I will let the other person answer for half points.
Okay. So with that, I think I'm going to start off big for Star Movement 500.
Star movement 500. Okay. This is any trade that was involving an all-star, and the player that you are naming will be an all-star. Might not have been multiple times, but they were at least a one-time all-star.
Is it all trades this year? Or
No, it is
trades?
not.
Okay.
It is
That
just
makes sense.
trades in general. He was drafted by a team who he never played for, who just traded for a starter at his position this year.
He was drafted by a team he never played for, who just traded for a starter at his position.
He is a former all-star.
Okay.
He never played for the team who he was drafted by. And that team who he was drafted by just traded for a starter at his position this season.
Damn,
I gotta guess. I gotta guess. My guess is Trae Young, because he was drafted by the Mavericks, who he never played for, and then they traded for Kyrie Irving, a starter at his, not only a starter but an all-star at his position this year.
That is a good guess.
Good guess, but incorrect.
Ooh.
Man, I feel like that's objectively,
Hey.
he does fit every criteria that you just said.
He was drafted by a team who he never
Yes,
played for.
the one caveat I'll say to that is that the reason I worded it the way I did is that this guy was not traded on draft night. It wasn't a draft night trade. It was recently after the draft, within the following weeks, but it was not a trade that happened on draft night.
I see.
I got it. Wait, do I?
I'll be
So
honest.
wait, we're trying to answer. So we're trying to answer the guy that
got
traded, and he's a former all-star.
Correct.
A starter at his position, though.
Made it tough for 500 points.
My guess was going to be Andrew Wiggins, but that's my guess. I don't think it's right, but that's my guess.
Good pick as well, but is not the answer.
Damn.
The answer is, if this will load, Roy Hibbert.
That is crazy.
Who was he drafted by?
He was selected by the Toronto Raptors. He was traded multiple weeks later and was an all-star in his time with the Pacers.
Yeah, me personally, I was not getting that. I will say, I realized where I kind of sold the bag was the fact that Trae Young was never traded at the trade deadline. I was just reading the question and I was like, who's a guy that fits this criteria? But I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I should be clear. Not all of these trades were at the trade deadline, but yeah. Roy Hibbert was definitely a tough one.
Wiggins was a good guess.
Wiggins was definitely a good guess.
I'll take my on that.
I guess I'll pick again since nobody got it. It was already on.
Yes, I will let you pick again.
I'll go with Homecoming 200.
Homecoming 200. This is, let me check my notes to make sure I speak correctly, is players that were traded back to their teams that they had previously played for.
A lot of that this season.
Repeat that again, Tyrik?
Is that all this deadline?
No, just any time in general. All of these trades could be any trade over the last, I think everything's at least in the last 2 decades. Some go a little bit further back than the last 5 years or so, but Homecoming for 200. He is an NBA.
Oh, buzz in. TJ Warren.
I snapped.
I did not hear anything from Tyrik, so I will have to go with Gabe. It is TJ Warren. That is 200 points for Gabe.
He snapped on a live stream and thought it would come through. Man.
Snapped right by the mic.
He didn't even get to read the question, and I was already there. Okay. Oh, he was already on the Suns. Okay, yeah, that's true.
You didn't even know that 2 weeks ago.
Hey man. I feel like I did know that because he was on some of those like ass teams when Booker first got there.
I feel like we had the conversation. He was like, I didn't know he was on the Suns.
Hey man. Whether or not that is true, what I will say is that I did get the points and you did not.
Yeah,
So-
okay, you're
Get
up
the
200,
points.
and you
Yep.
picked 2 questions, and you got 200.
You are
Hey
up.
man, listen,
And-
listen. When the Suns and the Mavericks just played, everybody was saying, "Oh, Devin Booker just want to talk when the game is over and he knows he won." So what am I doing? Talking the whole
Hey, I
time.
like it. I like it.
Hey man,
We'll
so
keep
let's
going,
go. Let's go across the board. Let's go. Title trades 300.
Title trades 300. Okay. Title trades is this player that was traded either the offseason before or during the season in which he won a title with the team that he was traded to in that following immediate season. Whoops, I skipped through that too fast. That is.
Oh, I have a guess.
Yeah, skip on that.
I just think 2
I
answers.
should not have done that. Let's get out of that and stop sharing for a second and reset that. I goofed.
Not the
This is,
technical difficulties.
This is the first Jeopardy game on the pod, and hence the technical difficulties are going to come through. So we're going to avoid that one. That was title trades for 300. The hint was he was a member of the 2005-2006 All-Rookie team, and the answer was Channing Frye when he won a title with the Cavaliers with LeBron. And now I'm
Be
just
honest,
double-clicking everything,
not
apparently.
getting
Okay.
I was not getting that either.
Yeah, that was a tough one, so I don't hate that one. Okay. Let me get myself reset and share again here. Send text to screen, share. Window. Share screen. Okay. Void of the last one. I'll let you pick again, Gabe, because I screwed you over on that one.
Man.
Feel free to
Okay.
choose again.
Let's go with star movement. Which one did I do? I did 500.
You did
last
star
time, so
movement
we'll go,
500, correct?
We'll go star movement 400. We'll make it a little bit easier.
Star movement
Big
400.
boys. He's already picked.
Is a lottery pick of the Los Angeles Lakers in 2005.
2005.
Going back a little bit on this one. He is a former All-Star who was a lottery pick of the Los Angeles Lakers in
Buzz
2005.
This might be fucking wrong. Is it Andrew Bynum?
That is correct.
Yes.
Andrew Bynum.
I thought he was gonna be a little later than that.
I didn't. No, I knew he was drafted that year. I just didn't know if he was a lottery pick. I'm always thinking he's like around 17. Maybe it's because he wore 17. But yeah, Bynum.
Andrew Bynum. Good pick. Good pick.
One-time All-Star. I think he might have made it twice. Real good player in his prime.
Very good player. Okay, Tyrik, on to you.
I like the homecoming theme, so I want to go. Gabe did 200 last time, correct?
He did 200,
Yeah.
correct.
Let's bump it up to 3. Let's bump it up to 3.
Homecoming 300. Okay. This is his stats on the season. 17.7 points per game, 5.3 assists, 3.2 rebounds, and 60% true shooting.
And we don't know what season this is.
This is this
Was-
current season. This is the current season. Current player in the current
He
season.
got traded.
Was
home.
he traded this season?
I
Mhm.
cannot confirm or deny that.
Ooh, true.
But he has been traded back to a team that he previously played for. And these are his stats in the current season.
Nah, I'm not getting
Buzz
this.
in.
Oh, shit.
I feel like
Good.
the only player averaging this much who got traded would have to be D'Angelo Russell.
That is not correct.
Oh,
That is not correct.
Oh.
Give me a second. Give me a second. I got this. Traded this season back to a team that he used to play for. Thinking it's a guard. Has to be a guard. Gotta be a guard. 5 assists is too much for any wing player. That's not. Former team got traded. This is a tough one. Hold up.
that like 5 assist number, low rebounds, really made me. I don't think D'Angelo Russell was shooting that good this year.
Also averaging a little bit more points, I believe, but I could be wrong.
A little more. For most metrics, it was a little bit of a down season for him. So I thought 17 might be in that range.
He's at 17.9 right now. So just a little bit more.
Man, and I feel like I'm proud of my guess, man. It was in the ballpark for. The only thing I'm looking at is literally like a list of teams. I have like a list of NBA teams just so it could jog my mind, but not like no rosters or anything.
To be honest, I don't have a guess. I don't
Spencer
have a guess.
Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie's averaging 17?
I didn't think his numbers were that good. I was thinking Brooklyn, but I'm like,
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Nah, no way.
They'll be a little bit off from what they are right now because this was made a bit ago, but give or take, that is Spencer Dinwiddie's numbers in the season.
Jesus.
I apologize. I was not familiar with your game, Spencer Dinwiddie. I did not know you were averaging that much this year.
At all. It's on you, Gabe.
Nah,
it's back to you. Back to you.
Man, I'm not. Give me homecoming for 100, man. We're knocking these off the board, man. We're 0 for 2.
Someone's got to get a homecoming here.
Nah.
He was involved in a title-winning trade.
There's gonna be a lot of people
going back home. Yeah, that's true.
Wait. Buzz in. This has to be Jakob Poeltl. He was involved in a title-winning trade because it was the Kawhi trade.
Great guess.
Good pull.
Yeah,
right. I'm now only down 100 points.
You are indeed down 100.
You better hit here. I'll say that.
Okay. So I guess is homecoming 4 and 500 still left?
4 and 5 are the only two left for homecoming.
All right. So I'm gonna go with 400.
400 it is.
These are getting difficult.
It is a German who is currently playing with the Indiana Pacers.
German currently with the Pacers. He's not German. He also wasn't traded.
Homecoming.
Previously traded to a team who he previously played for, who is a German, and currently is with the Indiana Pacers.
So that means he has to have.
Currently on the Pacers. Traded. Jesus, I'm bad. Can't even. Oh, got it.
I'm lost.
Forgot he's on this team. Celtics legend Daniel Tice, man. Give me those points.
Legend indeed.
Oh my God, I forgot he was on the Pacers.
Give me those points,
Daniel
man.
Tice, Celtics legend indeed. Tyrik is getting all of these 400 pointers.
I know. It's 2 questions to 2 questions, but his are a bit more difficult.
I'm feeling my luck with the 4s, man. So let's go. Is title trades available?
Title trades 1, 2, 4, and 5 are available.
Let's go 400, man.
Title trades 400. He once won Defensive Player of the Year whilst playing in the Western Conference.
Man.
Title trade for y'all's team. Former Depoy, but was second team on defense. Gotta be Marcus Gasol.
Great guess. Not the answer.
I was so confident. Oof.
Great guess, though.
Oh, watch this.
I should let Gabe guess first.
Tyson Chandler.
Good guess. Tyson Chandler is indeed.
He won Depoy playing in the West. Is that what the question said?
Yes. Correct.
What?
He did? I thought he
unless
was
my research is wrong, which if it was, then that is on me. Then his Depoy was in the West. 2011 Depoy. 2011-12. He was with the Knicks. Okay, that is my bad on my research then.
I was thinking of that.
Okay,
traded to the Mavericks though.
That's Yeah,
I was thinking of title
Yeah,
trades,
that
depoys around that
it's on
time.
me. That's on.
I guess we'll give Gabe the
Yeah,
points.
yeah, that's on. It's on my research. I can give Gabe the points. Yeah, that one's on me.
Oh, good.
Hey
Oh,
man,
good.
that was like
Got
my that
Credit
was
to
my
you guys
like
though
when
for knowing that better than. Credit to you guys for knowing that better than me. Even I researched it.
when you show your work completely incorrectly and you still come up with the right answer, man. I just knew I was like, he won a depoy and he was a part of a title trade to the Mavericks because he was bouncing around teams. So I'm like, if it ain't Marc
Good point.
Gasol, because I'm like, Marc Gasol was in the title trade winning.
I thought that was the obvious answer.
So did I. I thought you got it for sure, and I'm like, fuck, I'm about to be in a big hole.
That's fair.
But now I think I'm only down like 100 points, man.
You're there. It's close. It's close. Couldn't take the 3-1
You're in the
lead.
race. Definitely still a game. All right, Gabe, where are you going next?
Oh, it is on me. We'll go title trades 5. We'll commit.
Title trades 500. I will admit, I will be very surprised if either of you guys get this one.
Okay.
I'll be honest on that. The hint is he last played in 2016 with OKC. And he was traded either in the offseason prior to or in season to a team that he won a title with.
Okay. Clarification question.
Yes.
2015-16 or 16-17?
I believe 2015-16, but I will confirm.
And this is the last time he played NBA basketball?
Correct. This was his last time in the league. It was the 2015-16 season was the last time he played. It was with OKC.
I'm trying to think of that roster, man.
Oh, I have
And this is
one that's
trades.
I have one that's like kind of. I have one that I think is definitely wrong because I don't think he has a ring, and then I have one that like I know he played for them, but I think it was earlier. It had to be earlier.
Feel free to take a punt. I will admit this is probably the toughest one here. This is a really tough one.
Last played in 2016. There's a couple guys that come to mind that I don't think played NBA basketball after this.
Thinking of OKC 2016, there's only like one or two guys that I'm like, yeah, they probably did not play basketball after this.
So wait,
I'll give you guys another minute here.
Wait, rewind. You said he was traded either in the off season or during the season to OKC?
It doesn't have to be that. It just means he was traded the season before.
Traded,
Okay.
He won a title.
OKC don't got no rings.
He
it
was
couldn't
traded
be a title trade too, OKC.
He was traded in the season or the offseason before he won a title. And he also played with OKC in his last year in 2016.
There's no way he was in the league that long.
I got one guess, and I know it's wrong, but I just want to put a guess out there.
I need to hear your guess.
Is it Anthony Morrow? I don't think
not
it's right.
Anthony Morrow.
That's the only guy that came to mind that probably did not play basketball after OKC.
Okay,
Which
I have two names, and the name I'm gonna give you, and he might not even played there. I might be confusing. Give me Derek Fisher, bro. Did he play in the league that long?
It is not Derek Fisher.
Okay,
not a bad guess, but yeah.
Derek Fisher's last year was 2014.
That's what I thought. And I knew he went to OKC because he's on that 2K team with Harden on OKC. And I assumed that he would have been – I feel like he was like – I just feel like I heard like nothing about him for a while. I think he got like right back to the Lakers. when they like went on the second little like back-to-back titles with Kobe. So I thought maybe he was in a title trade right there.
Yeah, for sure. Very fair guess. Very
Bad
fair
guesses.
guess.
Bad guesses.
The answer, Nazir Muhammad.
Yeah, I was not getting that.
Started all 23 games for the Spurs in their 2005 title run. Played only 5 games with OKC in 2016 and didn't even play 20 minutes in that season.
Shout out Nazir.
So I did not expect either of you guys to get this one. It was it is undoubtedly the toughest one here. But I made the 500 pointers tough for a reason.
I respect it.
No, that was hard. So I guess it's back on me. I'll keep it going with title trades 200.
Title trades 200. He once won.
I got it.
Defensive Player of the Year.
This is my guess. This is my guess. It's Marcus All.
It is. This is Marcus All.
That is Marcus All.
He had the same guess for 2 of them. Wait, that was the same hit for 2 questions.
Is that legal?
I did, which is definitely where I screwed up. Definitely where I screwed up.
Oh, good. I deserve those. I deserve those points, man. Let's be real.
He does.
We were all over the Marcus All points for sure.
We was.
Sure.
We haven't touched unemployed yet. I don't think.
We have not touched unemployed.
I got a sizable lead over Gabe right now, so let's go unemployed 100.
Okay. Unemployed is players who were released or bought out after being involved in a trade.
Let's go.
You said 100?
Yep. Starts
unemployed 100. He moved
across Russell Westbrook.
The city of LA. Russell Westbrook is correct.
Give me that easy money. Easy money.
That's why you go 100.
For 100.
We bring it.
Let Gabe get all the small answers. Let him get all the small answers.
Hey man. Chill out. But just talking about small answers, unemployed 200.
Unemployed 200. He is a guard who was born in Italy, and he is an active player.
I'm happy. I'm real happy it said active player because I would have said Kobe and been like, "You got traded from the Hornets."
He wasn't born in Italy.
He was. I thought he was.
No, he's born in Philly. I think he like. Grew up
he went to Italy.
Yeah.
Hey, buzz in though. Gallinari.
Gallinari is not a guard.
I don't know why I was thinking that Italian. A terrible guess. Terrible guess. I was not thinking.
Active guard.
I was not thinking.
Damn.
And he was released or bought out after being involved in a trade.
It's not this deadline specific. It's just
in general.
2 decades, maybe.
In general.
Hey.
Just looking at teams.
No, I just
for sure.
I just took an L on that.
Italian guards.
That's what's getting me too. Italian guard.
I really can't I almost said Fournier, but he's French, obviously.
That's what I'm thinking. I keep thinking of a bunch of French players.
Real talk. Oh man. Somebody just came to mind, but they left as soon as they got there. This is a 200 question?
This is a 200 question. It's an active guy. We are all going to expand our NBA knowledge over the course of these.
We are. I like it. Phoenix, Golden State, maybe. Dallas would be the place to have some Italian dudes, but none come to mind. Whew.
I feel like this person's got to be trolling. I feel like it's a dude who's not strictly he's not known for being Italian. I feel like he was just somehow born there.
Right. It should be obvious, but it's not. I'm gonna be real. I don't have a guess. I'm gonna be mad at myself.
He was traded at the deadline.
I don't have a guess.
Reggie Jackson.
He's Italian?
See, that's what I was saying.
He is Italian.
It's gonna be somebody who are there's no way. Dang, that was 200. You keep making it tough. You making it tough.
Man, it was the guy you got released at the deadline this year. I thought it would be a little bit more at the forefront.
Nah, bro. Italy was a red herring, bro. There's a lot of you could have said that. What is his nickname? His nickname is something stupid, but if you would have put it there.
If I learned something, I learned Reggie Jackson is Italian today.
Don't they call him like Big Government or something? If you would have said his nickname is Big Government, it would have been like a weird accent, but I would have got that.
He has to be the only guard, or maybe the only Italian player outside of Gallinari that's active. Has to be.
The more I think about
Checo is also active and is also Italian. But outside of that, he is the only one left. Bellinelli's done, and Nicola Melli is not in the league anymore.
I was thinking Bellinelli, but you said it was this season, so I'm like, and he's active, so I'm like, nah, not Bellinelli.
Gallo is definitely not a guard, but I was trying to think of Italian players.
That was
that was thought it was a horrible guess.
Attention to detail is key.
No, I was going for speed. That's what happens when you're falling behind. Man.
That's okay. You still control the next pick.
You do.
All right. Two-step 200.
Two-step 200. Okay.
What is two-step?
Two-step is players who were traded from the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference. And I will say that all of these trades are within the last 4 years. We're traded from the East to the West. And that was how much for two-step, Gabe?
200. So it's 200. All East to West. There's no West to East or just any cross-conference trade.
It was a player who was traded from the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference.
All East to West. Okay.
Let's go.
His career three-point percentage is 32.8%.
East to West, mid-shooter.
All of these trades are within the last 4 years.
That could be a lot of guys. That could be a lot of guys.
I don't even know if he takes that many.
It doesn't have attempts up there. It's just percentage.
I know, but like...
I'll give you guys attempts because this is tough. Career attempts from 3 is 2.2 a game.
So not a ton, but enough, right?
Honestly, that's more attempts than the guy I was thinking.
I think I have a guess.
Let's hear it.
Now that I think about it, it might be a bad guess. 2.2 attempts. Never mind. I pump fake. I don't have a guess. Scratch that. Am I allowed to do that?
You are allowed to do that.
Okay.
We are informal here.
Thank you. 2.2 attempts, man. Fuck it. I'm gonna throw my guess out there. Is it Porzingis?
It is not Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, I'm not about to sit here and think hard about it.
This was like is this all trade deadline trades, or could this be like an off-season trade as well?
Just any trade in general. Any trade in general.
I was traded to the East to the West.
That could be so many guys.
It is. That's a pool of 15 teams. Upon further review, the best guess I've got for you is Domantas Sabonis.
It is not Domantas Sabonis.
Not a terrible. Well, not a terrible guess.
That's what I'm thinking. Attempts. I'm like attempts might be a little low, but
Matisse Thybulle is the answer.
Honestly, we could have got that.
That's better than I thought.
Yeah, I thought he was probably like 26% or something like that.
Yeah, and his numbers are actually up now more since his time in Portland. He's now up to 33.5 on his career.
Shout out to Tease.
Okay.
Not quite as bad of a 3-point shooter as we tend to think he is.
Let's go two-step 300.
With you, Gabe.
Yeah, two-step 300.
Two-step 300.
Stay with it.
He is a Toronto Raptor killer who last played for the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, well, it ain't Tyrese Maxey, I'll tell you that.
Doesn't give us the year. He just last played for the Kings. It's got to be within. You said within the last 4 years. So
Correct.
Traded cross conference.
I will also say he last played for the Kings, and he has not played in the league since. He is not in the league this year.
Trying to think.
Because the Kings were not very good before this season. So trying to think of past Kings players who then phased out of the league. Toronto Raptors killer.
This is probably a question Taylor made for Gabe.
Well, I was going to say, this is where I was hoping to give Gabe a few extra points, but...
Man. This seems very niche specific.
You're like the 76ers for this question, Gabe. Pressure's on here.
Nah, it's going to be some dude who is killing the Raptors. I'm gonna be like, damn, that dude was tearing us up.
Raptors killer.
Last played for the Kings? That's what throwing me off. I'm like, who phased out the league off the Kings?
Last played for the Kings. Not saying he played there for long, but he did last play for the Kings.
Man.
Yeah.
Is
this 300? Damn, this is a tough question.
This is 300, yeah.
300? Bro is making this quiz impossible.
Hey, well, we can adjust for the next one. We'll make it a little bit.
I'm usually very good at trivia,
rough.
though. That's why I'm mad.
All
right, Raptors killer, man. Traded within the last 4 seasons, so back to 2019. That's not a big window. Who's played next to De'Aaron?
The wheels in my head are turning, but they're.
You know the meme of the dude looking at somebody's head and it's empty? That's how it is right now. We don't know ball, Gabe. This is more bad on your part because you should probably know this.
Nah, bro. I'm thinking
you definitely should know this.
Right now, my thought process is like, who did the Raptors get cooked by?
What college did he go to?
Oh my! Wait a minute! Is the answer Jeremy Lamb?
Great guess. Answer is indeed.
Let's go! They thought I wouldn't get it. They thought I was down and out, but they didn't. No.
That is so niche specific, man. We gotta
listen.
I'm taking that to the league office, man. That's so niche specific.
Here's why I was like, bro, what is he talking about? I'm sitting here thinking, who was killing the Raptors, right? And I'm just like, who the Raptors lose to in the playoffs? Okay, Philly, but Tyrese Maxey was the killer, and he's still there, and he's also in the league. And then I'm like, the Celtics, like in like the bubble, but we got killed by like Marcus Smart, thinking he was Steph Curry the whole series. So I'm like, what is he talking about? Like the LeBron Cavs days? But I'm like, last 4 years, like I don't know. But then I was like, regular season, random like guy who just, yeah, I see the vision.
Good pick. Just know that you might see some colleges on the next one. You got to expand the wealth of knowledge.
Whoa. Tyrik can host that one if we're putting colleges on there.
Oh, please. Hey, I'm glad you said that. I'm setting that up, man.
I'll host
that would be the way to do it.
I'm setting that up, man.
I'll host a trivia night too, man.
Y'all better do some extensive research because I'm pulling out crazy ones like what college did. I don't know.
What college Anthony Morrow go to?
It's either Virginia
No
Tech or
way,
Georgia Tech. I
bro.
get confused. It's
No
one of
way.
the two. It's one of the Techs.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it's one of
Yeah.
them. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's definitely how that one's gonna have to go. I'll send you the
Anthony
template, and you can have fun with us getting 3 out of the 50 right, or 25.
Anthony Moore getting 2 random shout outs on the podcast, man. Shout out to a sniper.
For real.
All right, Gabe, it's
For
on
real.
you. Is it tied up
Gabe,
now? Are we
You
tied?
are down 100. You are down
down
100. Gabe
All
is.
right.
Gabe is down
Okay.
100.
Oh.
He's brought it back. He's brought it back. He's brought it back, and we still have
Let's go.
a bit under half the board left.
Unemployed 4.
Unemployed 400. Okay. He is a 7-time All-Star with 1 All-NBA appearance who last played for the Boston Celtics.
1 All-NBA appearance.
7 All-Stars,
Oh.
1 All-NBA appearance, and he last played for the Boston Celtics.
Buzz in. Blake Griffin?
He only has
Blake
1
Griffin
All-NBA appearance?
is not correct.
I was about to say.
He only
I didn't
has
think that was
1
true, but I was
All-NBA
like,
appearance.
dude who fades out of the league to play with. I had to get one up quick because I'm like the Celtics fan over here. This is real niche. I'm taking this to the league office.
Hold up. 1. Can I get a reminder of what the unemployed category specifically is?
Unemployed is players who were released or bought out after a trade. Does not have to be a trade to the Celtics, but it was a player who was released or bought out after a trade.
I took an L for not knowing the category, man. He just played. I'm a casual. He's not in their regular rotation. They were playing with that dudes tonight.
1 All-NBA. All right. We're going down the line.
I will admit this is a very tough 400-pointer.
I have a guess.
Even for a Boston Celtics fan.
I have a guess, but this might be so dumb.
What you got?
Wait, are these within? What's the window? What's the window?
Within this one, this category has anything going back within like the last 15 to 18 years.
Jesus Christ, this might be far back. It was released after.
Although I will admit that the trade in particular that is being discussed here is within the last 5.
Damn, we got so many hints here, and I already gave my guess, man. I feel cheated.
I'll let you have another one if you want, Gabe, because I have given a couple extra hints here.
I was about to say
I'll let you have another
opportunity. A lot of
opportunity.
hints right here, man.
I'm willing to give a few extra hints when we're struggling this much.
7-time All-Star is wow. 7-time All-Star, but it's like a guy. Wait a minute.
Last play for the Celtics.
He doesn't have that many. He doesn't have that many All-Star appearances, and no. But I don't think he's played since the Celtics days. He's not a 7-time All-Star. Especially because you said it was going to be super difficult for Celtics fans. There's no way this would be that difficult.
Last play for the Celtics.
I'll give you guys one more minute.
That guy's like a 4-time All-Star. Max.
This is my guess, man. It's such a bad guess, but I feel like the All-Stars lineup probably only made 1 All-NBA team. Is it Joe Johnson?
That is a great guess. That is Joe Johnson.
Damn.
That was my original guess, but I'm like, when did Joe Johnson get bought out or released? Are you referring to like Detroit when they released him?
It was
Brooklyn
in 2018. I'll scroll down to the specific details of the trade. It was part of a 3-team trade. He was traded by Utah to Sacramento. He was then waived by Sacramento and signed with Houston for the remainder of the 2017-18 season.
Hell of a pull.
Yeah, the best
Very
guess I
good.
had, I was
Very
probably
good
going to
pick.
somehow – the name that was on my mind was Kemba Walker, but because I'm like, he was like an all-star, but not a guy good enough to be like all-NBA. But I'm like, he did not – I was about to say, that's where I kept going. He was not a 7-time all-star.
And he played for the Knicks last, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But last time he was like prominent was the Celtics.
That's on me. That shouldn't have took that long because Joe Johnson was my first guess, like in my mind, but I was second guessing myself.
Yeah.
But that's on me.
Hey, he only played one game to end it off with Boston, so that's a
Scored
tough
a bucket.
one. That's a tough one. Very true. Oh, hey, Tyrik,
Right, so
you got control of the board again.
we're back. Okay. What do we have left in homecoming?
In homecoming, we have 500 left, and that is it. 1 through 4 have been taken.
He is tapping on his desk crazy.
Give me homecoming 500.
Homecoming 500 it is.
I don't know if we pulled a 500 one out the bag yet, so.
I don't know if we
Let me just confirm if this is the current season or not. Yes, it is. These are his current season stats as of about a week ago. 7.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and 56.7% true shooting. This is a player who was traded to a team that he had previously played for. And these are his in-season stats. His updated stats as of tonight are 7.6 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, and 1.5 assists.
So numbers are down since being traded.
This is a trade that was within the last 5 years as well, I will say.
Oh, within the last 5. Okay. I'm thinking of guys that got traded back home this year. Could be within the last 5. Okay. So he's still in the league.
Still in the league.
Kind of mid. Or maybe he's just a low-end starting center. I think I got a guess. But, so you said, okay. I think I have a guess. Or do I?
Okay, let's hear it. Hey, the last time you second guessed yourself, you were right.
This seems like, I don't know if he was traded back to this team though. I don't think he was. I'm thinking Thomas Bryant.
Thomas Bryant is not correct.
Let's see. I don't think he was traded back to the Lakers. He might have.
Okay. Hear me out, because I don't even know if this was a trade or if he got bought out, but I feel like he was back there so soon that it might have been that, but his numbers might be higher. This might be an awful guess. Is this the stats of Al Horford?
This is not the stats of Al Horford.
Okay.
These are the stats of Torrey Craig.
Oh my gosh, that was a name that was on my mind, bro. No way.
These are the numbers of Torrey Craig.
He's
Traded to
back
the
in-
Suns once. Was traded to the Suns once, then signed by the Pacers because the Suns didn't have money, and was traded back to the Suns the following season.
That's a good one.
I feel like I sold it. I sold mentally on that one, man. I sold mentally.
All right, no 500 pointers have been hit yet. There's still
Which
2
ones do
on
we
the
have
board.
left?
There is still 2-step 500 and unemployed 500.
Okay. What do we have left in 2-step besides 500?
100, 400, and 500.
Let's go 100.
100 2-step. He has been the center of many of my rants over the last 12 months. Note center is in quotations.
West to east, west to east, west to east, west to east,
East to west, east to west.
Oh, you
east to
didn't
west.
you didn't need to remind him of that, bro. You did not need
But
to
in my
remind
mind, I'm thinking east to west because I'm going from right to left. So
East to west. Center
He
of
has
many
been the
rants.
center of many of my rants over the last 12 months.
Center in quotation marks makes me feel weird because there's a guy who I'm like, oh, he hates.
east to west. But it's not him though, or is it?
I feel like you don't hate him that much though.
I never said I hate him. I just said he's been at the center of many of my rants.
Surely it's not. Dude, center in quotation marks just makes me feel so weird.
Do draft day trades count?
Yeah, draft day trades do count.
I'm buzzing in.
Let's hear it.
I'm gonna sound like a jackass if I'm wrong, but drafted by the Chicago Bulls, was traded on draft night along with Gary Harris to the Denver Nuggets. This is Yusuf Nurkic, isn't it?
Very good guess.
Ah.
It is not.
Listen,
It
Tyrik,
is
that
not
was the
Yusuf
same.
Nurkic.
No, that was the same name that I had.
Good call on the name, but it is not Yusuf Nurkic. I will admit my research did not go as far back as guys traded on draft night.
Okay.
Bad defensive center.
But very good guess.
It's got to be a bad defensive center, and I suppose he's probably undersized as well because of the quotations. But if you're ranting about it, surely it has to be like at least relevant to some degree. Traded from east to west.
You
Dang,
definitely can get this, Gabe.
Yeah, you
What's
can,
the
for
answer?
sure.
This is definitely gettable.
I think I know who it is.
I don't dislike that many centers across the league.
What's tripping me out is I'm just like looking at the list of teams and I'm like looking at every team's center and I'm like, I don't think he hates him. I don't think he hates him. I don't think he hates him. The only thing that's tripping me up is like the length of time because theoretically this could be a guy that's like in the East right now, but he was traded from East to West before.
I think I know who it is now. Not giving Gabe any hints, but I think I know who it is.
And the problem is that I don't.
I'll give you another 30 seconds, Gabe. Pick a center, any center. Gotta pick one of them.
Hey, man. I'm going to fuck around and go with Mason Plumlee, final answer.
Someone had to get that.
Crazy fool! Let's go! They thought we couldn't do it.
Good guess.
They thought we couldn't
Had to
do
be
it, bro.
done.
I was thinking like, I don't feel like he hates on Sabonis that much, but Sabonis is like a
Nah,
bad.
I love Sabonis.
I say
love
bad
Sabonis.
defensive center like that.
You know,
And
I
I'm
was
like-
thinking.
I'm like, he was low on Cat, but I don't think he rants about Cat like that.
No.
I was thinking Porzingis because he was previously traded east to west before,
Yes.
and we dislike the Wizards, and Dev really dislikes the Wizards. So like,
Yeah.
Porzingis came
Also
into
a
my
good
head
thought.
too. That was when I was on that like, oh, but he could have been traded east to west because
Right.
Knicks to Mavericks.
Yeah. Good
But
thought.
he's not there
Good
anymore.
good pull, Gabe. I like that. Good pull.
Good one.
Okay.
Okay. Good 100 on the board.
What's left with two
Back
step?
to you. Sorry, say that again.
What's left with two step?
400 and 500 is remaining.
We'll go 400 because we haven't been pulling any of them.
400 two-step. Okay.
I got like 2 400s.
He averages 2.0 steals per game as a bench player this season. Note that number might be a little bit different right now. I can get the to-date number.
I feel like I saw a steals list and he was like weirdly high. Buzz in.
Still at. Yep.
Wait. I think I pump fake because this is two-step and he
Okay.
got traded from the east to the west. So I'm pump faking.
East to the west is what you're looking for.
Yeah, this player got traded. The name on my head was DeAnthony Melton, but he got traded west to east.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Averages 2 steals per game as a bench player this season. And has been traded from the east to the west.
And that's just at some point in his career.
At some point in his career. Note all of the two-step trades have occurred in the last 5 years.
I don't know if this guy is like full time off the bench though. But somebody did just come to mind that might fit this. What's the criteria coming off the bench? Is it just like over half the games or like they're a bench
we'll say
player?
he's like, yeah, well, like he has started a few games, but he is primarily a bench guy. He's started less than 25% or roughly 25% of the games this year.
I'm gonna buzz in.
That bench number's throwing me off. Is it Dante DiVincenzo?
It is not Dante DiVincenzo.
I feel like DiVincenzo is
Traded from east to west.
That's why I'm confused, but I'm thinking of like when they're healthy. He's probably come off the bench, but Warriors are never healthy.
2 steals? Like, that's somebody who's like...
2 steals a night.
Yeah.
Dante is at 1.3 this year.
Not a terrible guess.
See,
Definitely
because
not a terrible guess.
here's what makes me so mad is that I feel like I saw like the little like NBA updates every week that are like, here's who is leading the league in steals through week 20. And like I saw it, and for some reason I'm remembering some of the names. Like I swear DeAnthony Melton was on there. But like I don't know. I'm stuck right now. East to west.
I'll give you another 30 seconds.
Oh, that sucks because I had a name in my head too. I had a name in my head.
Okay. Why is it different?
But I don't think he was ever traded across conference. Yeah, the best guess I have for you is Malik Monk. I don't think he's averaging
not
2
Malik
steals.
Monk.
Yeah.
It is not Malik Monk. I'm disappointed,
Tom
Gabe.
Brady.
I'm disappointed. It's DeLon Wright.
Man, he was on the list. I think he was on the list.
He was definitely on the list. He is atop the steal leaders this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was on the list.
DeLon Wright, one of the most underrated backup point guards in the league.
What college did he go to?
Utah. Stop playing with me.
Okay. Is it Gabe picking? Yes, Gabe.
2-step 5. Let's just get it. Let's get it out of the way, man. This east to west
Step
stuff.
5. Okay.
I think we're 0-4 on the 2-step thing, man. Have you gotten one, Gabe? I don't think I have.
Yeah, I got that. I think it was the 200. It was either 100
Okay.
or 200.
I'm 0-4.
2-step. Yeah, he got 100 for Mason Plumlee. He also got 300 for Jeremy Lamb. He got both.
That's
bro.
like half his point. It's like
I
half
thought
his
Jeremy-
points.
Why do I think Jeremy Lamb was on the unemployed ladder? I feel like
he was on the 2-step, but he has not played since last year. But 2-step 500. Here we are. He is a Canadian who is a 2014 lottery pick who was not Andrew Wiggins.
Okay.
2-step. Shit.
East
Oh.
to west.
This might be the best
Last
guess I
5
had.
years.
No, he's not Canadian. I'm lying. Who else is Canadian?
Gotta increase the Canadian knowledge.
Let me
on the
buzz,
pod here.
man. Let me buzz, man.
Yep.
Let me buzz. God, I hope this guy's Canadian. 2014 draft. I think he was a lottery pick. Is it Nick Stauskas?
He
Am
is
I the
indeed
right draft?
Canadian, and he was indeed a lottery pick.
Crazy.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
Sixers to Kings. Sixers to
Dude.
Kings. Yeah.
Sixers to
That
Kings.
is a Michigan
That is the
legend,
first
man.
500 to be hit.
I wasn't sure if he was
Great
Canadian,
pick.
man.
You
What a
are
guy.
in the hole here, Gabe. You've
I knew he
got
was-
one more
I told
answer
you.
right, but Tyrik's getting the big numbers. Tyrik is getting the big numbers.
Hey, man. Quality over quantity. Always. Let's go.
Quality over quantity, indeed. Okay,
Right.
Gabe has lost control of the board.
We're back, man. What
Lost
we got left
control
on
of the
unemployed?
game.
What did you say, Tyrik?
What do we have left on unemployed?
Unemployed, we have 300 and 500.
Let's go 3. We'll go 3.
300 unemployed. A 3-time champion who returned to the team who drafted him.
Buzz. I got 3 rings. This is Danny Green. Carolina legend.
Yep.
Carolina
Danny Green,
legend,
indeed. And is on top of it. And Gabe is looking dejected. And as he should, because is there a chance for you to get back into it? Yes, but you pretty much need everything.
Let's go ahead and
pretty much
eliminate
need
that
everything.
chance right now, man. Go 500
Man,
unemployed.
oh
500 unemployed. Let me just remind myself what we're dealing with here. Yeah, this is a tough one. He is a Croatian. He's a 3-time All-Star who made one All-NBA team and is a 1-time NBA champion.
This is somebody that got bought out or released at some point in his career.
Correct.
Croatian.
After being traded. Gabe is not
Okay.
exuding confidence.
3-time All-Star.
3-time
One All-NBA
All-Star.
team. 3-time All-Star. And he's a champ. He's a champ.
He is a 1-time champ.
Is this like a big gap?
He has not played
like
in the
time.
last 10 years.
Okay, so this is a big gap.
Oh, I don't know if this guy is Croatian though. I'm gonna go for it though. I'm
gonna mess around. And get it.
Buzzing, man.
Let's hear it.
I don't know if
Ice
this
the
guy's
game.
Croatian.
Let's hear it.
I don't know if this guy is Croatian. But is this Peja Stojakovic?
This guy has iced the game because it indeed is
Crazy pull, man.
Stojakovic.
Crazy pull.
That is a crazy pull indeed. 2 500-pointers and 3 400-pointers for Tyrik.
Ice the game.
He
Hey,
has
man,
definitely iced it.
The only thing that was stumping me, I didn't know if he was Croatian 100%. And Peja was so good, I thought he had more than 3 All-Star appearances. So that's
Just the 3.
learn something new, man.
Just the 3.
Shout out Peja, man. Ahead of his time.
Definitely.
Hey, Gabe, you was chirping early on, man. What happened? What happened?
Seems to be silenced a bit. This was even a Raptors related thing. He was cut by the Raptors, given it was in 2011. But he
Sunned
was cut
again by
the Raptors.
Uncle Reek, man. Sunned again by Uncle Reek, man.
I did not know he played for the Raptors. That's interesting.
He was traded by the New Orleans Hornets to the Raptors in November. He played 2 games because he did not want to play in Toronto, and was waived in January and then signed by the Mavericks for his last season.
Barely played, but he
Back end of his last season.
Shout out Peja, man. Shout out Peja.
Okay, we've got 4 left. We've got 100 title trades, and we've got 1 through 300 for star movement.
Let's get the title trades one out the way.
Title trades 100. He once won a title with the San Antonio Spurs.
That's a lot of guys.
Yeah,
And
there's a
he
lot of
was
guys.
traded in season or in the offseason previous to winning a title.
I mean, I feel like I just gotta go buzz in and say Kawhi Leonard because I mean, just factually that did happen. I was going to say technically Danny Green also would count, but Danny
Green would also count, but indeed he was already on the board. Okay, we're salvaging some points here. Where are we going to next?
Hey man, don't patronize me.
Trying to make it respectable.
But we're trying to even things out here a little bit. We got 1 through 300 in star movement.
Give me star movement 100.
Star movement 100. He played for the Seattle Supersonics.
Buzz in KD.
Kevin. Yeah.
That is also correct.
I was going to say traded
Durant,
to the Warriors. Will sign and trade, but then also trade deadline this year. So he's been traded twice.
Correct.
Or is it 3 times?
Okay.
Is it a sign and trade to Brooklyn? He's been traded 3 times technically.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been involved in a few. Okay, 200 to 300 here, Gabe.
Go 200.
200 star movement. He is a steal champ, an 8-time All-Star, a most improved player, and made All-NBA 6 times.
You don't got 8 All-Stars yet. No. Steals champ. Most improved is what's throwing me off. Most improved into an 8-time All-Star is crazy.
It is a pretty crazy career.
6-time All-NBA.
Buzz in because he might have 8 All-Star appearances. Buzz in with Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler is not correct.
Thinking he was playing that defense back in Chicago, man. Might have got that steals title.
Jimmy Butler has 6 All-Star appearances and 4 All-NBA appearances. He is a 1-time steal champ, but he does not have the All-Star or All-NBA appearances.
He was most improved in Chicago, too.
Buzz in.
Yeah.
Is this Paul George?
This is indeed Paul George.
Oh, man.
Thanks for bringing up two-way players, man.
Jimmy was a good shout, though. You were definitely on the right train of thought.
I was thinking Harden for a second, but I'm like, I don't think Harden won most improved.
No, I don't.
Because I was thinking 2013, and I think Paul George won it that year. So I'm like, he said.
I was going through guys who won most improved, and I'm just like Giannis is not. I don't think he's not close to 8 yet. I don't think he might be getting there actually.
He was most
improved like 2017.
He might be at like 6 now.
But I was thinking with Butler, I'm like Butler started popping off around like 2015, 16. So I'm like he could be getting close to 8 All-Star appearances.
6 All-NBA for PG is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah, he's got some nice accolades. All right, the last one, 300 for star movement. He is a guard with 2 times more all-defensive team appearances than all-star appearances.
Buzz in, Drew Holiday.
And was on top of that one.
Good pull.
Drew Holiday it is. Drew Holiday it is. So in the end,
too late.
In the end, Gabe did answer more questions, but he did not have anything over a 300 score answer to his resume.
What's the final score?
Let me tabulate real quick here. 5, 6, 9,000. Gabe finishes with 1,500 points. 19, 22, 28. And Tyrik did a little double with 3,000 of his own.
Let's go, man. I'd like to thank my mama. Without her, none of this is possible. Of course, thank God.
That's crazy, bro. I was just getting all the easy ones, man. But he did get me where it counted. I feel like I played myself into a 1 seed in the regular season. You know, I won the most games, but Tyrik won the games where they counted, man. He did. He did beat me in the postseason in the 400 and 500 questions. So I will have to concede this loss. I am glad that I could give you guys a couple of good answers today. But at the end of the day, he did have some crazy pulls. He did have some crazy pulls that I have to respect. Getting Nick Stauskas in about 4 seconds. You know, I really do have to commend that effort. So, you know, I'll take this loss on the chin, man.
Hey, man, shout out Nick Stauskas. Forgot he was a lottery pick. Wasn't sure if he was Canadian, but timetable seemed right, man. You know, he's in that draft that was a little underwhelming. You know, had some, you know, all-stars at the top with, you know, Embiid and Wiggins. Jabari Parker was phenomenal, too, in his early days. But, you know, shout out Nick Stauskas, man. He was an assassin.
Definitely. Good, fun performance from both. Tyrik will get the nod to start off on the board the next time around, but hey, if you can start to answer a couple of those big ones, you'll be good.
Hey, man, don't patronize me. Hey, man.
To be fair, the Stojakovic one was kind of a crazy pull.
That was
the Joe Johnson,
crazy.
The Joe Johnson one too. Like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
You got a solid like
ones.
You got like literally like Nick Stauskas, Joe Johnson, and Peja Stojakovic got you like 1,300 points.
And those are all like back to back.
Like if those three crazy pools, take away like those 3 crazy pools, and it's like 200 points. Like you were actually out of your mind with some of those picks.
Yeah.
To be fair, I am a YouTube trivia champ. Shout out my guy Super Mario Hoops, but I am a trivia champ. So.
This is true.
Super Mario.
My reputation precedes me.
This is very true.
He just knows awful, man.
I'm coming back with a college one, and I'm not gonna make it like too crazy. Like the 400, 500 ones, those might be difficult, especially 5. But like, y'all should be okay. I'm gonna come back with a trivia one. Hopefully, maybe next week we can get that rolling. If there's not nothing too crazy we gotta talk about, but yeah.
I see. So, I guess the inaugural 3PW heavyweight universal undisputed champion of the world is Reek Knows Hoops. Shout out to Tyrik.
I wish I still had my WWE belts. I would pull one out right now.
Gotta lift the belt above his head, man.
It's an honor. It's an honor, man. Dev came with some hard hitting trivia questions, man. I wasn't expecting to see Nazi Muhammad's name. That wasn't in our scouting report. I do have to talk with the league office about a couple of those questions. But other than that, very fun game of trivia. And, you know, my guy Gabe was a formidable opponent. You know, he had me on the ropes early, but I had to fight back and, you know, prove myself as one of the best in the game at this Jeopardy stuff.
Hey, man, I will say with my legacy on the line, with my back against the wall, I did pull Jeremy Lamb. So at the end of the day, at least I did not get exposed that hard. If I would have missed that one, I do think you guys would have had to officially kick me out of Raptors fandom, despite the fact that I am actually currently wearing a Blue Jays hat on my head. So I am repping Toronto right now. But with that being said, I may have been banished to Clipper fandom if I did not get that question correct.
Yeah, if you got a Raptors one wrong,
that would have been tough. That would have been really tough. Yeah, 17 out of 24 questions were answered, which, considering how hard some of those were, is not too bad.
That's not bad at all.
It's not too bad.
Man, so yeah, combined, we gave it a good run, Tyrik.
Nazi Muhammad? Like, not a name I was going to think of.
tough. I'm
That was
sorry.
definitely
Yeah.
the most difficult.
That was I knew when I put that one in there. It's like, yeah, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. But
That's like a final Jeopardy question.
I went in the books of research for some of those for sure, except for
Bro went
obviously
down the archives.
except for clearly figuring out what conference Tyson Chandler won Defensive Player of the Year in, but that's okay.
That's fair. That was so close in timetables though, so it kind of makes sense. I kind of forget. I sometimes forget he won a decoy.
That was showing the evidence of me making that at 2 a.m. one night. That's for sure.
Definitely be like that, man.
Hey man,
Nah, that was fun.
when they thought we were out, we had it, man. I'm almost as proud as pulling Mason Plumlee that Tyrik should be about pulling Joe Johnson.
I figured.
I was like, what are the rents? And I feel like it was like, oh, the Hornets traded for a young center. Why is Mason Plumlee still getting minutes? He does not play good defense, and this team needs defense more than anything. That's a classic rant of the NBA.
I thought I absolutely big brained that one. I'm like, oh, draft day trades, Nurk. Nurk.
Yeah, that was definitely on a good wavelength. Definitely.
I almost said Nurkic, but I was like, wait, two-step cross conference. You really did big brain that with the draft day trade, but in my head, I'm just like Denver to Portland. That is not cross conference.
Nah, it was the Bulls.
Chicago to Denver.
Nurk.
Yeah.
It was Nurk and Gary Harris for Doug McDermott. Why don't
I thought it was about to be easy. I thought it was about to be easy because I thought I put Trae Young on the first one, and it was too easy. But I was wrong.
I think my guess was Wiggins. That was a bad guess. That was a terrible guess.
Yeah, a couple of them definitely could have had a couple of answers. I wanted to have everything just be so that there's only one answer to it, but it's tough sometimes unless I give up too much.
Facts.
Yeah, the only thing with Trae Young was the fact that he had not been traded after draft day. So it seems like most of the players on the list, it definitely was not like that was their own trade.
Then when Dev said that, I'm like, oh, Wiggins, easy. What's an answer like Roy Hibbert?
Roy Hibbert, yeah.
Yeah, it was Roy Hibbert.
Roy Hibbert, Toronto Raptors legend.
Raptors legend, Georgetown legend, Hornets legend. That big boy.
Dang. So I don't know what Jeopardy I should create for the fellas to take.
No. Who is on the trade Mount Rushmore?
Or you can make a Jeopardy table of teams and give the organization and a year within a frame of years in which a team was in purgatory.
Oh, the purgatory Jeopardy. Yeah.
God,
that'd be a good one. I want you guys to know the easiest question on there would be the Charlotte Hornets and always.
Oh, man.
I don't know what you could do, Gabe. Just have one with all the rants that you've had. All the tangents.
I've had a lot of them, man. So sometimes I might be the biggest casual on the podcast, but I do hope to provide a legendary rant at least once a week.
I think the best one you had was about the Nets. That because you went on for 7 minutes, just you. We just let you have the floor, and you were talking your stuff.
I'm practicing for when I have to cut a promo in the middle of a wrestling ring, man. When I get signed by WWE, I do fear that I'll be in the middle of the ring cutting the nastiest promo on John Cena. And, it'll be raps.
That was That's a W promo, man. You must be a natural. I'll tell you that.
Hey, man, what was it last week when we were all picking our championship picks, and I gave y'all the sales pitch on the Suns, man. Once a week, I'm gonna give y'all one little monologue that's gonna go crazy. But you gotta watch out for that one. So whenever this week's videos start going up and getting posted, and we get into the legendary rants, I'm gonna have to give some extra love to reposting that one.
There's definitely gonna have to be an off-season video that is just a collection
Gabe rants.
of 20 minutes of rants.
20 minutes of Gabe ranting about analysis. It's just certain
legendary video.
It's just like certain teams, like the Nets rant had me going. You guys are lucky we didn't talk about the Grizzlies this week. I probably would have went on a crazy rant because I put so much stake in them. Just for me to say, like, yeah, this team is not a contender this year. There's no way they're bouncing back from that.
That would have been a crazy rant. The whole Grizzly situation, there's not enough information out for me to really like talk too much without sounding like a jackass. And I don't like doing that. I don't like talking just to talk.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I don't feel like I'm in a position yet that warrants that being discussed. Yeah,
talking about the morality of Ja Morant's decisions, I do think is one thing. However, if we do come on here one week and like there's some rumors, but me and Tyrik were looking at it earlier, and it was like not really any of the big sources. We're talking about this rumored like 50-game suspension. If that comes to pass, I do think we're gonna have to have a conversation about how that affects them basketball wise, because that's like a huge thing.
For sure.
Like the more applicable question would be like, Brandon Clark's out for the season. Like that's the best thing that we could talk about the Grizzlies right now. Ja made a not so smart decision, and once more information comes out, and we know what the status of him playing the rest of the season will be, then we can talk about that. But like I get like daytime television, they have their jobs to do and stuff, and that's something that they feel like they should talk about. But like Skip Bayless was asking, like, is Ja Morant like a gang member? Like what? Shit like that just makes me so mad, man. Like,
yeah,
gotta find something to talk about.
Yeah, like I respect Ja Morant, the person, just like I respect every NBA athlete. But as far as my care for the sport and especially talking about the sport, I care about the sport, and I don't care that much about the individual. And I just want the individual to be able to live their life, and what goes on behind closed doors, good or bad, I don't really want to get into that. That's not my place to be. That's for them and the people they affect or don't affect and their family to deal with, not me. That's just not my business.
It's not really our place to talk about it unless it's affecting basketball. And if that's the case, if Ja Morant gets really punished for his decisions, then we talk about how, like Gabe said, how does that affect Memphis? But what do we gain from talking about Ja Morant the person? Not much. We don't gain anything.
Hey, well, you know who does gain? This pick for Desmond Bain Finals MVP? Legendary.
Hey, he won me some money last night. I put him on a parlay with, I forget who it was with, but it was like 30 points. And he was the last guy, and he hit his 30 points. So shout out to Desmond Bain.
He just barely hit it. He had like 30 last night. Exactly on the dot, I think.
Had like 25 going into the fourth quarter and didn't score until like, I think got an and one with like a minute to go or something like that.
It do be like that some nights.
Got to split them out, bro.
Nights. For real.
I'm gonna just have to give y'all the play in Jeopardy, man. I think that would be legendary.
The play in Jeopardy.
Or best.
Or you can quiz us on like stats from this season, or I don't know, obscure award winners or some shit like that. I don't know.
Obscure award winners. MVP winner in 2000 and
where this player was third in MVP voting in 2014.
Third in MVP voting in 2014. That's Joakim Noah, right?
Blake Griffin.
Joakim Noah was one of those years.
I think it was either 13. I think it might be 13. or maybe 14. He was like top 5.
Clicky keyboard. Oh no, Joakim Noah I think was 4th.
He was 4th. Yep, he was 4th.
But Blake Griffin was 3rd.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the years like Blake Griffin has an MVP case, and it was literally like he doesn't have a case. He has had a very good season to put him in the top 30.
It's crazy because when I think back on Lob City, it's definitely like, yeah, that was Chris Paul's team. Blake Griffin might have been there first, but I'm like, yeah, that was Chris Paul's team. Blake Griffin was the guy in the
CP
MVP
was
combo.
the best player for CP was the best player, but Blake probably had like the best peaks, if that makes sense. Because when CP would miss time, Blake would be like offensively, it was low key like I don't know, like Sabonis type. Like he would really get boards and bring the ball up the court and make plays for people.
Definitely.
Tied for 7th Rookie of the Year that same season, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Wonder whatever happened to that guy. Guys, Giannis finished below.
Was that the Carter Williams year?
Guys, he finished below.
So.
Michael Carter Williams, Victor Oladipo, Trey Burke, Mason Plumlee, Tim Hardaway Jr., Gorgie Jang, and then he tied with Steven Adams and Nick Calathes.
Grizzlies legend.
Grizzlies legend, indeed.
24-year-old rookie is I see.
What college did Gorgie Jang play for?
Hey, man, if you give me a conference, I might give you the answer.
ACC. Now they're in the ACC. Back then they might have been Big East still, but
hey, that's the first thing I got to figure out before we get quizzed on colleges. I got to learn the conferences. I would be screwed.
See, I got no idea. He looks like he wore like a freaking like I don't know, like a Georgetown jersey or something random.
That's not a horrible guess, I guess, because they used to be in the same conference. But nah, do you know where? If you know where like Terry Rozier went to college, you'll know.
I'm cooked.
Louisville, man, Louisville.
Oh yeah, players from Louisville that I know. Donovan Mitchell. After Donovan Mitchell,
I don't know why I said Terry was the first player that came to mind, so I said Terry.
After Donovan Mitchell, next Louisville player I know is Lamar Jackson.
Montrezl Harrell also went to Louisville.
Bro, whenever I saw like center in quotation marks, I was like the first thing that came to my head was like Montrezl Harrell. He's not a real center.
I didn't know if it was like just the play on words, like center, like this is a center, or like this is a guy who plays center, but he's more of like a 4. That's why Sabonis kept coming to mind because I'm like, Sabonis did play 4 for most of his career, but he's the center now.
But I'm like, Devin doesn't hate Sabonis. Sure,
he loves Sabonis.
I do like Sabonis.
You know, he doesn't play defense, but he
Great
beats
player.
that
He
narrative.
doesn't play defense, man.
Well, it's not that he doesn't play; he's just not a good defensive.
Yeah, he's actually put in a lot more effort on the defensive end this year, so I can't be too hard on him. I can respect a guy who gives effort on defense. The reason I dislike Nurkic so much is because some of the plays he makes on defense just make my brain hurt. That's the biggest thing for me. If a guy is just not good defensively, he's not good defensively. But when you're actively playing poor defensively, yeah, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah, that's what makes me mad about like Ja, Trae Young, Harden used to do it. Like they just don't try. And I'm like, defense is really like 50%, maybe more just effort. Maybe like 70, 75.
For sure.
Like there are some guys like Trae Young, even if he tries 1,000%, he's not going to be a good defender, but he probably won't be the worst defender in the league.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
There really are some dudes like Curry, James Harden, Kyrie that like when they try, they low-key are like decent defenders. Like I remember they were showing some tape of like Steph Curry in the finals, and it was like he was doing his thing on defense, man. And I'm not even just talking about like in a scheme. Like he was like guarding up like one-on-one, and he was looking decent. Same thing with like Kyrie's had his decent possessions on people. Then like I know
Yes.
people always talk about James Harden as a post defender is like low key kind of nice.
Yeah, when Harden wants to defend, he's actually okay. And Curry's always been like such a smart defender. Like if you just watch him, like the way he like what they try and get him in ball screen actions, he hedges really hard and gets back. Like he's so good at that. But yeah, like this past season, like in the finals, he was actually like Tatum would try and go at him, and he was not really moving. Like he was standing his ground, playing good defense on him.
They show some stat like LeBron in the finals when guarded by Steph Curry had like a much lower field goal percentage than LeBron averages, and I'm just like, this stat has to be like cherry picked somehow. Like I don't know what kind of shots LeBron was taking, but I'm like, even if Curry was like a better defender than we give him credit for, I don't feel like LeBron is the kind of player Steph Curry is holding.
It's probably weird because if Curry switched on to LeBron,
He's getting the attention from literally every other Golden State Warrior player. And if he's taking those shots, they're going to be very tough shots because Curry's going to be there, but then Iguodala's probably coming over. Draymond's probably in the vicinity or Klay Thompson. Like, there's probably going to be 3 defenders there, and he's going to be shooting a tough shot. So that's probably why the numbers, you would think like, oh, that's an obvious mismatch. But once Curry gets switched on to LeBron, they're going to put all the pressure for him to pass the ball, basically.
I'd have to go back and watch tape, man, because I'm like, dude, there's no way Curry was just D'ing up LeBron like that, and it was just like working.
Nah, those shots are probably crazy. Or maybe he just struggles with smaller defenders. Maybe that's what it is. I remember KD couldn't get shots up over Chris Paul in like 2014 in the fourth quarter of a close game. It was like the craziest thing I ever seen.
You couldn't get him up over Pat Bev for a couple games either.
Facts.
Oh my god.
That was a like very fun first round series. That Clippers Warriors series.
Very fun.
When they said that was Kevin Durant's "Do you know who I am" moment.
That was his "I'm him" like series right there.
Definitely.
Because he legit had the other team saying like, "Do y'all know who that is? It's Kevin Durant."
Did they win the title that year? Was that 2018 or 2019?
That was the year KD blew his Achilles.
So that was that's what I thought, because I thought he like played that series and then he like missed some time in the middle.
That would have been crazy, just like
because he didn't finish the Rockets series either. Huh?
I think he got hurt in like game 5 of that series.
Because he missed the whole Portland series, but I think he finished the Clippers series and played a decent amount of the Rockets series.
Because it was 2-2 when he got hurt. Because I remember it. Because when he went down, I'm like, oh, Houston has a chance. Like they might win this series, and then they proceeded to lose game 5. And I think Clay iced him in game 6, or it was Curry, one or the other.
Game 6, it was either one of the Portland games or it was game 6 against Houston. Curry had 0 in the first half and finished with 33.
That might have been Houston. That might have been that game 6 actually, because that sounds familiar.
You'll get to Gabe's clicky keyboard.
We are fans of Gabe's obnoxious clicky keyboard.
Who's this against?
I really feel like it was that Houston series.
Yeah, it was. I was right. Yeah.
Good point. Speaking of Houston, bro, James Harden was averaging 1.22 points per isolation. And he had like almost 800 isolations. It might have been 2018. But, bro, that is ridiculous.
That is wicked.
Like,
That's some wicked numbers.
I think the league average around that time was like 1.1 maybe. Or like that's what like the higher echelon guys were getting. He was like a full point ahead of everybody else. And I'm like, that's wicked. Yeah, wicked is the right way to say that, man.
You know, I feel like people talk about the best scorers of all time, and they're like, oh, Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant. Like, people probably put like LeBron and Kareem up there too. Bro, James Harden got to be like a top 10 scorer of all time, right? Like, minimum. Like,
I think
like,
so.
A dude that literally had like 30 points in like 32 straight games. He was up on list with Wilt for scoring. average like 36 a game for a season.
34 the next season.
Like you said, like those insane ISO numbers. Was a great at like drawing contact, getting to the line notoriously.
A high volume 3-point. Like if you think about it, he's really like him and Curry were probably like the start of guys really taking threes off the dribble, but he was doing it in a different way as far as isolation. Curry's more coming off screens and stuff. Like he was just sidestepping, step back, and like he was the first guy to do that. Now, if you watch basketball at any level, guys are doing sidestep, step back threes. Like nobody was really doing that before James Harden was.
I feel like most great scorers have that like go-to like signature move. Like you think like the skyhook, stuff like that, you know, like Michael Jordan with the fadeaway. Like James Harden's step back is the stuff of legend. Like that is the
everybody
stuff of
does
legend.
it. Everybody does it now. Like if you're any type of scorer, even LeBron added his little, sidestep 3. Tatum does it. Even Curry added it. Dame does it. Like everybody does it now. If
Tatum sidestep is about to become like legendary stuff too. That Tatum sidestep, it's like the LeBron the fuck you 3 where he's like bullshitting, looking at his fucking hand.
Did y'all see? Dame said he thinks he's the second greatest shooter ever.
No, I didn't see that.
He might be. He's like a top off the dribble shooter ever. You're talking straight off the dribble. He was on
somebody's podcast. I forget whose it was. So sorry for not shouting you out. But he was basically like, yeah, the only guy that I can say is like obviously better than me is Curry. But he was like basically saying what Gabe said is like nobody except for maybe Steph takes the difficulty of threes that he has to take. And he even has to take tougher ones because Steph gets to come off pin downs and stuff. Dame's never really had that luxury. So I see what he was saying. Like he made a very like good argument for himself because he probably does other than maybe Harden, but he might even do it better than Harden. Like just the difficulty of shots that he takes from downtown, and he's like he's pretty always like at least league average from 3, taking tough threes like 8, 9, 10 threes every night. So he made a compelling argument for himself that I couldn't really disagree.
The shooter debate's a hard one though. Are you talking 3-point shooter or overall shooter?
I think he was saying threes.
Okay, because overall shooter, then like to me, like KD was super up there. Because the combination of his mid range and 3-point acumen is like absurd.
Definitely. But yeah, if you're seeing threes, then yeah, like there's definitely an argument for sure. There's definitely an argument.
It's tough because everybody else is probably up there, like Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, JJ Redick, Kyle Korver. Those are all pin down guys, and Steph is half a pin down guy too. So and Clay too. Clay's up there, of course, but it's a good argument, man, because you could definitely make points for both sides.
If he was getting the looks of like Boston, Ray Allen, of prime Klay Thompson, of guys like that, of Kyle Korver, like I feel like his numbers would be off the charts because his numbers are so good now. I mean, you just got to think like, yeah, if his looks were like that, if he had the luxury of playing next to Steph Curry, what do you think his percentages are going to look like? They're going to look insane.
Crazy. Dude, he might. Him and Steph, as far as pull-up shooters, they're definitely 1A, 1B. Like, they both do it like no other.
Definitely.
And then distance as well. Like, they both have the most distance on where they can pull from. So, it's like, as far as off the dribble and getting distance, the only thing that other people might have on him is, like, catch and shoot ability. But it's just because, like, who can
the luxury of playing that way?
Right. Like, I mean, Curry is obviously the best off-ball player of all time. But if Dame had another ball handler or like somebody who could find – I can't say the Warriors have like another great ball handler, but like somebody who can kind of run that offense and find him the way like a Draymond does.
Or even a coach that would install an offense like that. Like Terry Stotts' action was so stagnant. Like they didn't run really much for Dame off the ball. It was just a flare screen to get him like a step on somebody. Like that's all they would run.
Because, I mean, they've had the personnel to have another guy on the ball to get him the ball in good situations because he's gone from CJ to Anthony Simons, and both are capable of doing that.
even like way back, like they had like Evan Turner as like a point forward type of guy. So like they've definitely had personnel. It's just kind of got to have coaches. Like I think Steph ran into the perfect blend of he has the guys around him. He's also the best shooter ever, but he has the guys around him. And Steve Kerr was a shooter, knows how to get guys open because he was a shooter that came off screen. So really ran into like the perfect match as far as head coach, people around him, and he's also the best shooter ever.
Yeah, I do think the most like Curry definitely has it though, just based off the fact that like even from just a pull up perspective, like that season where like everybody else on the Warriors was just injured and it was like Steph and a bunch of nobodies and they lost in the play-in. Steph was still in his bag that season. Like he was shooting the skin off the pill that year. So I still think if Steph was in a situation like Dame, I still think he'd be able to do a lot of that. So I don't think there's even an argument for like Dame being better than Steph. But
Oh no.
if he was in Steph's situation, you might see a little bit more. But yeah, like he definitely has a compelling argument for saying like second best 3-point shooter of all time. Even like I don't know where guys like James Harden rank up there because his percentages might not look as great, but he also is like that high difficulty and he's like top 5 on the all-time 3-points made list now. So like that, like different guys definitely have arguments for their own reasons.
Yeah, when it comes to like off the dribble, Harden's probably like top 3, honestly.
But I do think other guys then at that point, like the Ray Allens, Klay Thompsons, like catch and shoot acumen probably puts them
definitely better
Harden
shooters.
overall.
Yeah, like I truly don't know if James Harden could be a pin down guy because I've only seen him come off one off ball screen in my life, and it was his first week in Philly. I've never seen him come off an off ball screen since then. So, I can't even say like Harden hasn't been in the situation where that was viable for him to do so. But yeah, I think Harden's always been around like league average though, which is still very impressive for somebody that takes pretty much 10 contested threes a game. Like that's still pretty good volume and percentage, being league average.
Yeah, definitely.
If I could go back and watch. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I got his 2017-2018 season up here right now, and he was in the 69th percentile in 3-point percentage, 80th percentile in 3-point pull-up shooting percentage, and was in the 0th percentile in open 3-point shooting. Like he wasn't getting open shots. He was openness rating was 0% percentile. So the fact that he was 80% percentile on pull-up 3-pointers at 38.8%, whilst literally the worst in the league for how open his shots were, is ridiculous stuff.
I hope he doesn't become one of those guys that are like just not respected in NBA history, man, because that like 4-year stretch in Houston, he was doing unworldly stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he'll get a fair amount of his respect. Like when I think of guys who like aren't respected, I think of people like Paul Pierce. Like Paul Pierce was nice, but then it's like you look at all time like accolades wise, and it's like he's got the Finals MVP, but beyond that, it's like no MVP, anything like that. And so it kind of is like, besides that one Finals MVP that people argue KG might have been the best player on the team. Like, what has he really got? Plus, like looking at highlights and stuff, like his game. Yes, he had some highlights, but it's not necessarily like the most flashy stuff ever. James Harden's career highlight reel and the fact that he has an MVP award and like just his like ridiculous stuff, like 30 straight 30-point games, different things like that, I think gives him like those accolades and those like memorable moments where people would be like, oh yeah, James Harden was like him.
Maybe forgotten was a bad choice of wordage. More like disrespected. Like people don't give him his credit for how good he actually was. Because I feel like it's still polarizing in today's age. I feel like you either really like Harden or you dislike him because of how he plays. And he doesn't have a ring, and he hasn't made the finals since OKC. Stuff like that.
Just playing in Steph's era, man. It's just like how many players in the 90s is like disrespected because you never got a ring or anything, when it's like Michael Jordan got like all of them and Akeem kind of scooped up the rest.
And then Tim Duncan came along and got the last one.
Right, so it's like what else? Like everybody else is just kind of like, oh, they couldn't get the job done. So it's like at this point, Curry and LeBron took like half of the 2010s. A couple other guys got in there, like, Dirk got his, Tim Duncan got one more, stuff like that. But Kawhi got his in Toronto. But there's a lot of guys, especially those guards, who are not going to get rings, and they're just not going to have that accolade. Plus, same thing with MVPs. It's like, you had guys that are just the best in the league. So guys who are consistently like the 5th to 10th best player in the league, but never kind of break through and get that like top of the league, like best in the world type season, just not going to get remembered as much.
Y'all think we're gonna go through a stretch where it's like it's somebody else's league, like everybody has to go through that player or that team to get a championship, like anytime soon? Because I feel like it's as wide open as like it's been in my lifetime, honestly.
Yeah, soon? I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think we're there because I think the only teams I see doing it are the Bucks. I don't think they're good, but I don't think they're quite that good. Or the Celtics. And again, I think they're good, but I don't think they're quite that good. And even then, as far as I'm concerned right now, they're both on the same level. So there's at least the two of them. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be there anytime soon. I really don't think so. Unless one of those teams make a move the next couple of years that just completely shift the landscape of the league. I don't think we're going to have that for a while. And after a little bit of time where that was the case, I'm more than happy to just have things be wide open for the foreseeable future.
Facts.
Yeah, we've had a lot of different teams make different like deep pushes in the last couple of years. I feel like something probably will end up coming up. I feel like, I don't know, because there's this weird argument of like you could say like, oh, the NBA ran through LeBron for like so long, but at the end of the day, LeBron's been in the league for like 20 years and has 4 rings. So there's a lot of different people that got their stuff during that.
I think it's more like everything in the East was through LeBron.
If you say a
teams
conference, running a conference is different, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's different, but I feel like it's more like I get what you're saying, but you got to think people also geared up to beat LeBron teams because everybody in the West knew who was coming out the East before the season even started. Yeah. And it's like, how do we match up with LeBron and beat LeBron? It was like that for basically a decade, especially them Cleveland days. So
definitely. And there was also a case of the fact that even though LeBron didn't run things, 3 teams did, or at least LeBron and 2 other teams kind of ran things. So there was a little bit more of a feeling of a lot of years where there was just a team that had won it before winning it again with a similar core, or in the Spurs case, just with Duncan being around. So that might play into it a bit too.
Yeah, because I'm thinking back all the way to when I started watching basketball. Like that was the Kobe years with Gasol, Bynum. Like they won their back-to-back. And then pretty much Miami was in the finals every year. And they played a couple different teams the first times, but then it was Spurs, Heat, and, Miami won a couple in there. San Antonio got theirs. And then it's the Warriors run with a couple teams in between. Cleveland got theirs, Toronto got theirs, and now the Warriors and the Bucks got theirs. Now the Warriors are back, defending champs. So it's like, it's kind of been like Devin said, like we kind of already like had the champion kind of crown for most years, or it's been a team or a player that's been consistently in the finals every single year. Now we're to a point where it's like, we don't know. It might be Celtics, it might be Bucks, maybe Philly surprises people. And now West, we're like, it's maybe Phoenix, but who knows? Somebody might get hot at the right time and make it to the finals. Like there's a lot of parity that I think us at our ages haven't really been able to experience as NBA fans.
Yeah, I think if it was going to happen, I think it could be like a new Western kind of dynasty popping up, just because the Bucks and the Celtics are both kind of so strong that I think they would prevent each other from like one kind of having a dominant thing. I think it could be like the West and like the 2000s where it's like, you have the Lakers and the Spurs and they kind of prevent each other from going every single year. But it was usually one of them. But then like that third team that's maybe a little bit below, but like, hey, maybe the Sixers are like that Mavericks, and they make it through like once or twice over the course of a decade. And I mean, that's pretty much the exact same as what the West used to be. But if anybody's going to come up that's super dominant, I do think it would have to be somebody in the West. It's just Phoenix is kind of weird because Devin Booker's like 25, but then like Kevin Durant's like 34 and Chris Paul is like 37. So
maybe it's
like,
the Kings, man. The beam.
I don't think it's the Kings.
Nah.
The Kings would have to add like an all-time great defensive piece to even get close.
You know what they need? They need to go pry away Jared Vanderbilt within the next couple of years. Just give him a
pry
bag.
away. Hopefully, they gotta pray on the Grizzlies' downfall and hope this like off the court stuff descends into madness and somehow they can snag Jaren.
Jaren.
If
Dude,
they
that would
snag
be
Jaren to put next to
perfect
Sabonis,
combo.
like that's literally
that'd be
if
wicked.
the Kings do that, I'll call them a championship contender and like a top level
Fox.
contender.
Red Velvet, Keegan, Sabonis, and Jaren.
Respectfully, adding
Spicy.
Jaren Jackson to this team in this year's league would. I still don't know if I take them over Bucks Celtics, but they'd be the favorite in the West for me. I think at that point.
Yeah,
They'd be
for
so
sure.
good.
Give me a sign and trade too when HB's contract runs out for like DeAndre Hunter or a good two-way wing like that.
Dude, they would be nasty. That'd be a nasty team, man.
I think they lit the beam tonight, man.
Oh yeah, they were dog walking the Pels.
Yeah, it was close until we midway through the third, and then they started to run away with it, which was great because I had money on them tonight, so I ain't complaining. But
man, I had BI for last leg. I had BI for 30, and he had like 16 and a half and didn't get it.
Hey man, I feel kind of good about our picks because the Pelicans are officially, as of right now, the 12th seed.
It's not about feeling good because I want to see the Pelicans at least try and make the playoffs because I like that team so much. I
want to see them get Zion back, man. I don't want to watch this like it's like not.
I miss watching Zion, anymore, man. Like he really. I hope the injury stuff cleans up, man, because he's so fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. That's such a fun team when he's healthy. But yeah, hopefully it gets sorted out. Definitely, it'd be nice to see them in. Honestly, the only team. And I'll put emphasis on team that I don't really want to see in is Portland, but I want to see Dame there. So, but OKC, I'd love to see there. The Pels, I'd love to see there. Like, and they might miss out, but I'd love to see either of those teams in there.
Portland's supporting cast looks so nasty with Anthony Simons out because he's legit when he's out there, but without him, it's like
it's rough.
A little nasty,
it's
man.
rough. And without Nurkic, too, as much as I give him slack, it's just another guy off who's leading to more minutes for some guys that probably shouldn't be getting as many minutes as they are. I think it's been rough. They've been struggling with injuries the last little bit for sure. I mean, when Drew Eubanks is starting and Trendon Watford is getting heavy minutes, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
If you're trying to push for the play-in, it's bad.
Yeah, like they've been solid. They've probably both proved that they're like okay NBA players this year, but when those guys are combining for like 50 minutes a night, probably going to be tough to be a good basketball team. If they're combining for like 20 minutes a night, yeah, you're probably good, but not 50.
I'm looking at this. Defense might be dead. The game between the Sixers and the Pacers tonight.
It was like 79 to 78 at halftime, bro.
147 to 143 in regulation. These stat lines are absurd. Tyrese Halliburton, 39
40.
and 16.
I thought he had 40.
Embiid had 40 on the other side. He had 42. And then James Harden had 14 points, 20 assists, and 9 rebounds. He was 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. We should have done that Giannis, man.
Also worth noting that Embiid was 19 of 19 from the free throw line, which is outrageous. Yeah. Man shot more free throws than shot attempts tonight. But
40 points.
That's Embiid.
Jalen Smith had double-digit points. TJ McConnell had double-digit points.
Those are my favorite.
Jordan Nwora had 16.
Random. Those are my favorite stat lines where dudes get 40 and they take like 15 shots.
Yeah.
Like those are my favorite stat
It's always
lines.
wicked. Man, Jordan Nwora being a starter in March was not something I had on my bingo card this year.
He is
crazy.
the Bucks version of a year away from being a year away.
Literally, though, man, if he can figure out how to play some defense, he's definitely got a spot in the league, but he's just got to figure that
of the
out.
Midwest.
Bro,
Yeah.
I was just chill. I walked into work one day, like probably a month ago, maybe a little bit more. And this man G starts talking to me on some, hey, yeah, like Jordan Nwora could definitely go to like a lot of good teams and be like a solid rotational piece. And I'm like, dog, what are you talking about?
No.
I like went through all the teams that are like have something to play for, and I'm like, dude, no.
I don't even think he would get minutes in OKC. Personally,
No, he probably wouldn't. He probably wouldn't. Now, if he keeps playing like the way he has to start with the Pacers, he probably gets a look from someone next year. But I don't know how many more of those he's going to get. But I mean, his last 6 games are now. His last 5 games are now 18, 16, 10, 10, and 16 points. Now, he can keep that up. He's probably got a spot. But
one thing he can do is score the basketball. He can score.
He definitely can score the basketball for sure. He can if he can keep that up, he'll at least get a look again at the start of next year from someone. So,
I'm surprised the Pistons don't got more of these like random pickup guys. Cause that's where they do it so much. Just like looking at their whole roster, like Bagley, like Wiseman is like that. RJ Hampton.
They moved off a bunch of them last year to get Bagley is why. They moved off of 3 of them, I think.
Like
Jackson, Trey Lyles.
Jackson.
It's another guy too. I don't remember now, but
arguably Hammy Diallo. I feel like he was doing like a little bit in OKC.
Yeah.
He might be a Detroit lifer, man. I just can't see him in any other uniform.
No, I don't know if he gets into the rotation anywhere else.
He's
got
I don't know.
Random. They got the most random assortment of players, bro. Why are Rodney Magruder and Corey Joseph on this roster?
Shout out Rodney Magruder, man.
Yeah,
Magruder. K-State
Alec
legend.
Burks, too. Those two and Alec Burks are like draw 3 random NBA players out of a hat.
Alec Burks, man, Colorado's finest. I know Gabe's just always frustrated when I pull up random NBA players and what college they went to, because he's like, "Why does he know this?"
I feel like what you learned is that I'm often quite frustrated by the things that you say to me.
Nah, Gabe tried to strike a nerve earlier because I posted about Derek Carr signing with the Saints, and he was like, "Bro, he's just another Andy Dalton." So I said, Cleveland is better than Cincinnati.
Hey, bro. This the same dude that was like, we were playing a game of Pong, and he was talking so much trash to me. And then right after the game, I'm like, I see how you really are, man, showing your true colors. Like, I thought we was bros, man. I thought we were bros, but you didn't have my back. And he was like, nah, bro, it's just to fuel you. Take it out in the next lift. And you know what he did the next week? He was not pulling up to the gym with me like all week. I'm like, all right, we going? He's like, nah, I can't today. I'm like,
my
bro.
my allergies really flared up on me bad, man.
Listen to this. Listen to
That's
that.
my excuse. It's my excuse, man.
Who
One
is
day I
this
couldn't even
guy?
leave the bed. My allergies were so messed up.
Man.
But it worked. We maxed out last week, and Gabe hit a new max. So my method works, man. There's a method to my madness.
He just loves causing me mental inner turmoil and anguish. It hurts the most when it's number 1 from the nice guys, but 2 is from the nice guys you respect, man. When they start coming at you, it's like, man.
Come on, bro. I'm your biggest hater and biggest supporter all in one person, bro.
Hey, man, don't let me get some alcohol in me, man. If I get some alcohol in me, I'll start texting Tyrik the most like crazy things. I'm the nicest man alive. I know he got to look at his phone like, what is this dude texting me right now?
It definitely be like that when you consume some of the the forbidden juice, man. Like he just started texting the homies like, man, I love y'all. I love y'all, man.
Yeah, no, I feel that. My one buddy from school is the same way. It do be like that.
Real talk. Real talk.
All right, y'all. At the ripe hour of 1:40 a.m., do we have anything
It's
else?
1:40? Jesus.
Yeah, it might be time to wrap it up at 3.5 hours deep for a week that was supposed to be relatively quiet.
Hey man,
Shout
we
to
doing
Jeopardy.
we doing weekly trivia games. We blowing up on YouTube like this, man. Come on, stop playing with us.
Yeah.
Definitely,
You
definitely.
might have to do a
fan.
random draft.
Quiz videos are they do good in the algorithm, man. I've got put on to several YouTube videos through like YouTube channels through like challenge type quiz type videos.
I've been wanting to do like a 20 questions. But I feel like everybody kind of does that now. That's why I would kind of refrain from saying it.
Well, where it's like, did he play in the East? Yes.
Yeah.
Did he make 8 finals in a row? Yes. Is it LeBron James? Like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that with Super Mario a few weeks ago.
I did too.
Yeah, definitely seems to be a bit of a commonality. I gotta check. I was tied for the record when I did that. I gotta see if anyone's beat me yet.
I don't think I beat you. I think I got like second.
No, I think you were 2 points below me, I think, or something like that. I think. And I should have had the record because one of mine was, I forget if it was for a player or a coach, but it was Steve Nash. And I asked some stupid question when I already knew it was him instead of just guessing it was him. It should have had
Did he ask you? I didn't watch y'all's full episode, but did he ask you at the end, like, who is the NBA player that you like hate now? Did he ask you that?
Yeah, he asked me a player I like and dislike. Yeah.
Who was your dislike answer?
I think it was Nurkic. I think I went with Wendell for like and Nurk for dislike.
God, I forgot who my answer was.
What's his name? Super Mario Hoops?
Yeah. It's like Super Mario Hoops 24 on YouTube.
Yeah.
I forgot who my dislike answer was.
Now, I think, and I think Tyrik was a few weeks before that.
7K subscribers.
Yeah, mine was like early January, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I have a new answer for my dislike though, and it is Dwight Powell. I'm not a fan of Dwight Powell.
The Grizzlies juicing
very
Jared's
fair.
numbers with RunTheNBA.
Yeah, that was that fun week.
Is this like a podcast?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He pretty much just brings people on and we talk for like 30, 40 minutes. And he always has some trivia or, 20 questions or something.
Yeah.
Hey, with Reek Knows Hoops, Cleveland, this is for you.
That might have been right after the Donovan Mitchell game, I think.
It was. That's the thumbnail of your video.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Dang, none of you guys can't say you're more famous than each other. You guys both got 1.3K.
We did.
Hey, man.
Equally famous.
We repping the pod, bro. We repping the pod.
Hey, low-key, your guys' videos did better than almost any of the other videos with features on them. Are you guys draws?
We're staples on the channel, man. People know the names.
Oh, Sam Darnold's forehead got y'all beat, man.
Sam Darnold's forehead.
Yeah, I had 39 points, and I think you had 36.
Damn.
You had 35.
They should let me come on and talk about Super Bowl. I'll talk about Super
Mario. I think he asked me a Celtics related one, and I just second guessed myself. I think it was Al Horford, and I'm like, there's no way he's giving me Al Horford. Like, no way. And it ended up being either Al Horford or Al or Rob. And I'm like, bro.
Yeah, I had Cat, and then Steve Nash as a coach, and then Cleveland for my team, which I narrowed it down to the division, and they were the last team I picked from that division. So that one could have saved me a few points too, but oh man.
If
I think my coach was Bud, because I think I guessed Steve Kerr first. But I'm like, I don't think Steve Kerr won Coach of the Year. And it was like Bud, yeah. Coach under Pop.
Cat was what saved me, though. I think I only needed 5 questions to get Cat. That's what saved me.
I'm gonna have to call this man out, man, because if he gave me a quiz, but it was on Mario, I'm getting every answer right. I'm getting every answer right. I'll do pretty well if it's a basketball quiz, but if it's a Mario quiz, I will not miss.
See, I don't think I have any other niches outside of basketball that I would just like really be super confident in. Like,
nah, mine is definitely like Nintendo games. Nintendo games, COD, zombies, and wrestling are like my 3 things where like I'm not missing on any questions.
See, even wrestling stuff from like when I was watching it, like I don't remember everything. Like when I watch videos on TikTok, I'm like, damn, I forgot that happened. Sounds like a kid.
Nah, bro. I promise you, I would have stuff like that in the bag. As far as like historical knowledge, it's probably like basketball might be like the 4th most, but like
easily 1 for me, not even close.
Current knowledge,
maybe space. Yeah. I might do okay on space.
Random space facts, a thread with Tyrik Hutchinson, man.
I've been enjoying doing that, man.
I've been glad you've been doing that because that used to be my thing when I was young, and I just kind of grew out of it. But
I've always had a spot for space. It's just so fascinating, and it's like so much of the universe has not been discovered and might never be discovered in our lifetime. So it's like just so fascinating to speculate and learn new facts. Like if you ended up landing on Venus, you're pretty much instantly dead. As soon as you hop out the spacecraft, you're pretty much dead.
The atmosphere is deadly, man.
It's like made of carbon dioxide. Like that sounds just treacherous.
I think it's like because the atmosphere is so thick, like the heat just like stays like trapped inside. It's crazy.
They compare it to like a greenhouse, pretty much.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, you're still 5th on the leaderboard, Tyrik. You're still hanging out in 5th. I'm still hanging out.
He's gonna bring me.
So
I know he's gonna bring me back for the playoffs. So I gotta redeem myself, man.
Yeah, for real. You can't be having me beat you live on that setting.
Man.
Did not know it was 140, but I'm good to wrap up if y'all are.
Yeah, probably a good time to wrap up. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of 3 Point Weekly. Be sure to let us know down in the comments below your thoughts on the New York Knicks winning streak, the Phoenix Suns start with Kevin Durant, and what you expect to happen in the play-in tournament in a few weeks' time. And be sure to let us know any topics you would like to have in any future trivia or Jeopardies in the future. We thank you guys for tuning in to another week, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.